everyone. A very good morning. Good morning, Pulkit, Chetan, and everybody in the group. Okay, so I do hope that all of you got time to go through the chapter once so far, whatever we had done. Good morning, Inderpreet. A quick revert is needed from everybody. Did you go through the portions that we covered yesterday? Just revert to me yes or no in the chat box. Good morning, Bunty. Okay. Hi, good morning, Diksha. Very good, Chetan. That's okay, Pulkit. That's completely okay. And the others? Did you go through the 2 activity questions that I asked you to do? No, that's okay. You would be able to understand. That's okay, Diksha. We'll do it in the class then, Bunty. Don't worry. Okay. So, Prerna, you did not get time. Pratyushi, I think it's your first session today. Ishan also did not go through. Gaurav, Bunty, Mukesh, Pushpa, Dikshan. Who's with iPhone? Please rename yourself. Yeah, Shweta, Inderpreet. Okay, fine. No worries. No worries. We'll take up those activities today. And I would give you a recap of what we covered yesterday as well. Okay? Okay. That's okay. Okay, now quick question for whoever went through what we did yesterday and those who did not. Any questions, any concerns that you're facing and something that you did not understand, you could not relate to, please put that in the chat box quickly so that we discuss it first before we move to today's session. Inderpreet, don't be in a hurry to do everything. See, like I said, you have 60% theoretical portion in SBR. 40% would be calculation based. For that, first we need to have a basics of everything. Next weekend onwards, you would be doing, we would be covering almost practical and theory both. Okay? Because next week onwards, we'll be starting with our IASs. So of course, we'll have calculations and theory both. But you need this theoretical portion also to score the 20 on 20 for your ethics question. Correct? So have that also. But do you think that it's a typical theory? Because I find that it is more of a practical understanding that you're writing in the notes. That's all. Right? So don't take it as a typical theory. We have to learn everything and just mug it out. Okay, so Bunty, you take my request that there is nothing called important. At least now when the P level, there has to be a crystal clear understanding. I cannot pinpoint like we can do in CA for that matter. We cannot do it in ACCA and tell you that look, out of this chapter, these 4 topics are something which is crucial, which you read and you will score 60%. No. Okay, because you have multiple sets of papers which get prepared and you don't know which set will come to you. So anywhere from the syllabus portions can come, though we know now it's precisely that question number 2 is based on ethics. So all the chapters relating to this ethics, you just have to understand them and then you're ready to go for the 20 marks question. Clear, Bunty? So we don't have important things. And regarding the notes, see, I would give you proper summarized notes, but you have to wait for a day or two because I have to update the notes. Okay, so I would be updating it and would be sending to you maximum by Tuesday. Though my target is to send you by tomorrow only, else by Tuesday I'll send it to you for the chapters that we are covering. So next weekend onwards, I would like to streamline it in a way that, you know, the lectures would be available to you on the same day only. Lectures as in the notes. Okay? Okay, people. So let's begin. I would be beginning with a recap of what we covered yesterday, the chapter portion, and then we would be discussing the activities that I asked you to do but I understand that many of you did not get time to do it, but that's okay. Okay, so let's begin with the session. Okay, this is the question that we did yesterday. Now let's just discuss about the writing tips. So let's have the writing tips from today only. Okay, let's have the writing tips. So we will discuss a question and then I would write it for you to make you understand that what kind of question, what is the writing skill that is needed. After we discuss 2 activities, we will do a question. Okay, we'll do a question once we complete this chapter. So then we'll discuss the writing skills also with that. Okay. Okay, let's have a look. So yesterday what we covered precisely, and those who did not attend yesterday's session, it's a quick recap for you all. So in the yesterday's session, we understood that ethics, it is a very, very crucial role that it plays for the organization, for the public at large, for government, and for the different stakeholders that are connected to the organization. Okay, so in that we understood about the different stakeholders, be it the shareholders, investors, lenders, suppliers, employees. We covered all of them, and we did a discussion that how these stakeholders are affected by the ethics. Okay, that if an organization is following ethical policies and how it is affecting the success of the organization vis-a-vis the stakeholders engagement into it. Okay, then we also understood about the different dilemmas, the whistleblowers of an organization. Okay, those basically they are fulfilling their ethical responsibilities. Okay, and how they can also be affected by the ethics fulfillment for an organization. Then precisely we understood about the compliance with the accounting standards is needed, and the 5 different principles of, and we discussed different cases. Okay, then we discussed about this is what I want to just make you revise. Yeah, the 5 principles of fundamental principles of the ACCA Code of Ethics as well as the International Code of Ethics. Now this is so important that in your 20 marks ethics question, definitely at least 2 to 3 principles would be breached. You have to identify it, explain it, and then give the conclusion. I shared 2 videos with you, 1 video and 1 article also with you on this topic. So when you have time, please go through the same. Okay. Now, which are the 5 fundamental principles that a professional should have or should abide by is integrity, objectivity, professional competence and due care, professional behavior, and confidentiality. So we discussed some examples also of it and we understood the meanings in detail. Precisely, integrity relates to honesty, objective relates to unbiased nature, and integrity also relates to, influence from others. Professional competence in due care relates to being professionally updated with your rules, regulations, accounting standards, and that you're professionally competent enough for that position, okay, for whatever work you are doing. Confidentiality is maintaining confidentiality of the client's data, of organization's data, and do not reveal it to anybody else. Professional behavior is behaving in the most professional way that a person can. That is, you're following the rules, you're following the regulations, and basically you are doing activities which are in line with the organization objectives, interest, public at a large. So this is what 5 principles were about. Then we discussed different threats to the conceptual framework. We have a dedicated chapter for conceptual framework that is just after 2 chapters. So there I'll be discussing conceptual framework even in more detail relating it to the various standards. Okay, now, so the different threats that were understood were self-interest threat, self-review threat, advocacy threat, intimidation threat, and familiarity threat. Okay, and then we discussed questions also on it. Then we discussed the different safeguards by which we can safeguard the framework, safeguard the overall accounting system, procedures, all these transactions for an organization where the chances of the threats occurring is minimized. If not zero, is minimized. Okay, so that is if we took an example where there is threats arising from the inducements or the offers given, so then we understood the different safeguards that can be taken. Now these are not fixed safeguards, okay, so this is just giving an idea about the different safeguards that you can also discuss when there's a question put in front of you. So then we discussed about the accounting ethics in the digital age, which is the need for today. That is, we discussed about cyber security. You all are aware of it, that how cyber security is so much it's so much needed, and it is so critical to success of an organization to protect it from the hackers. Okay, and then we also discussed about the platform based business models like Amazon and all, that how ethics are governing those models as well as the distributed ledger technology. We discussed about blockchain, we discussed about airline ticketing reservation. So wherever there's a distributed ledger followed, it's a more protected, sorry, it's a more safeguarded and the protected version. So we discussed about that as well. Okay, and then we discussed about big data and the artificial intelligence, and how big data, which is followed by almost every organization, it is used by every organization to process the data, the technology. So how is it going, how big data and ethics are related, how we can relate the two. Okay, and how artificial intelligence strategies, they help us to run the analytics more better way, and at the same time ensuring that the ethical issues are also reduced, are also minimized. Okay, the AI powered solutions, so that to ensure that the integrity of the organization is maintained. Okay, we discussed about these. So that was the portions that we had covered till yesterday. Again, I'm asking any questions, queries. If yes, quickly put it before I take up the next activity, where you have to think. So all those, even you missed your class yesterday, we did not do a very highly technical concept. It is more of a generalized concept that somewhere or the other we are aware of it. Even when you do CA, we have this ethics portion covered in auditing also, as well as in reporting. Okay. I think we are good to go. Everybody, eyes on my screen. Nobody will look at your books. Okay? I don't want you to read and give me the answer. Of course, I can make it out. I want you to understand and let me know the situation, the answering, in your own words. I will be giving you 3 minutes to think and answer. 2 to 3 minutes for these kind of questions. Only for thinking, because you don't have to write. Okay, quickly, let's have this situation. Infinova's directors are concerned about the results for the year in the statement of P&L and comprehensive income and the subsequent effect on the cash flow statement. They believe that the market will react badly to the results if they cannot do something about them. It's a fishy sentence. They have therefore suggested that the proceeds of the sales of certain assets should be included in cash generated from operations. Now stop. Now for this, you need to have you need to have an understanding of the cash flow statement, which I assume all of you carry. If there's someone who doesn't know cash flow statement, then please let me know in the chat box. I will elaborate it. Okay. Okay, these assets include tangible assets and financial assets carried at fair value through other comprehensive income. These assets sale, the profit of it, or sorry, the sale proceeds is shown from cash generated from operations. Now you have to think, you have to apply your, concepts into this. I'll come to it. Let me complete the question. The directors feel that The directors are concerned about the results for the year. Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. The directors feel that making adjustments for the proceeds to enhance the cash health of the business would also help protect jobs. Okay. So they have another concern that they've raised. Discuss the ethical responsibility of the company's accountant. Okay. Discuss the ethical responsibility of the company's accountant in ensuring that manipulation of their statement of cash flows, such as that suggested by the directors, does not occur. Okay, please discuss. Yeah, you want to know the IAS or IFRS? It is IAS 7 cash flow statement. But it is almost like what we all already know in our Indian standard. Okay, so there's nothing different to it, except for a few clauses that I'll cover there. But overall, it's almost same. So the basic concept of cash from operations, cash from investing activities, cash from financing activities, it is same. Okay, now please do not jump to conclusions. Okay, I would ask all of you to write at least 1, 2, 3 points, paragraph, whatever you can. But I want you to think. Okay, because thinking is important in this exam. You need to frame your answer in your mind. So take 2 minutes and think, and then we will just start discussing. Before that, please don't be in a hurry to jump and write. And I request not to look at the solution because that is a temporary way of answering. Let's have a permanent way of starting to think. Okay? Just 2 minutes. I do hope that now you're able to think and create an answering in your mind that what all pointers that you would like to put up here for this question. Okay? So please start writing your pointers one by one, in the chat box, mark it to every. Everybody, please start and please mention the principle, which fundamental principles are being breached. Okay? Okay, so we can have discussions here. I have received pointers from Diksha, Pulkit, Inderpreet. You're just giving me these pointers. I told you to write at least 1 or 2 sentences. Don't give these pointers. Gaurav, Nikhil, Ishan, Pushpa, Suriti, Nitin, Aditya. Okay, everybody, anybody else would like to add up? Then let's start discussing. And after this, I will tell you how you should be framing your answer. Okay? Okay, Prerna is also added. Good. Okay, so now I'm reading first Diksha's answer. No, mark it to everyone. Okay, Diksha? Next time, mark it to everyone. Everybody should be able to read each other's answer. Okay, so integrity and professional competence and due care should be exercised by the company's accountant as doing what the director says is manipulation of accounts, which will lead to fraud. Fraud is a wrong term to be used here. It's not fraud. There is no fraudulent activity. Okay. Sale of tangible assets should be shown in, should be included in cash flow from investing and financial. It's not financial investing activity, not cash flow from operating activities. Manipulating cash flow will impact investors' interest. Very good. So it is just going to impact. It's not leading to any fraud. We cannot write everywhere fraud. It's a misrepresentation that is going to take place. So of course, the principle of integrity is breached here from the management point of view. CFS is not as per the standard, inflating or showing positive cash flow from operations. Professional behavior is being neglected here. Perception of management is wrong, misleading investing stakeholders. Okay. Very good. Ishan, wrong presentation of the sale proceeds and operating activity would lead to incorrect decision making from investors. Very good. There is no objectivity principle which is getting affected here. There is no biasness here which is happening. Okay, so I don't think objectivity. Yes, I can take into account integrity and professional behavior, but not objectivity. A cash generated will never be a part of OCI. What has happened to you, Pushpa? We're doing cash flow statement. We're not doing a PNL. No, professional competence is not getting affected because they are well aware. They are well aware that where this should come. They are doing it intentionally. They're there. I would not doubt their knowledge. Suriti, integrity. Just don't write. Just because you're writing professional behavior, competence will go hand in hand. That's wrong. Professional competence means, for example, I'll give you some examples for the same as well. Wait. Yeah, very good. This one point, Suriti, you have written it correctly, deceiving the investors. This is their thought process that is not going correct. Very good. Aditya. So again, I say it is not competence which is breached. It is more of integrity. It is more of professional behavior which is breached. Very good, Chetan. Very good point written. Yeah, so we don't say professionalism, we say professional behavior, Shweta. So all of you have given me a very good summarized point. But then when I'm writing this answer, how should I begin? I would begin with the first pointer that making the examiner understood, because this is a question of 5 to 6 marks, not beyond that. So I don't have to write a lot, but I have to just make the examiner understand that I know what is going on. So here I can say that this company is aiming to manipulate the cash flow statement by presenting the information which is otherwise should be presented under cash flow from investing activities and which is now being presented under cash flow from operations. This is the introduction that I'm giving because an introduction paragraph is always needed. Okay, then we go into the content. So how do you think it is deceiving? How do you think it is showing? So then I'll explain that the cash which is generated from the sale of tangible assets and financial assets, okay, whether it's carried through PNL, OCI, doesn't matter because we are doing cash flow statement. We are not doing PNL. So this is not something of relevance to cash flow statement. Understood? So then I can give these pointers that it is, should be presented under the investing activities. However, for the purpose of showing the results that have improved, they want to manipulate it and show it under the cash flow from operating activities. Yes, I'm coming to it. Okay, so just give me 2 minutes, Bunty. Hear me out. Right now, I'm doing oral discussion because once we complete the chapter, we'll take a question where I'll write answer. Okay, we'll do that writing work so that we know how to write it also. Okay, so this is the next paragraph where you explained what has happened exactly, what went wrong, what went wrong. Now you have to explain also that how it is deceiving the investors. How do you think? Now we will explain that cash flow from operating activities basically presents the cash which is available from the operation, with the cash which is generated from the operations of the business, which eventually helps the business to pay off its taxes, pay for its expenses, and the other, other appropriations are done from there. Okay, so this is how we are explaining. Now, investors generally are more inclined towards looking into cash flow from operations than investing and financing activities, because this ensures that their day-to-day expenses, the working capital requirements, taxes are all getting met. So if there is a wrong presentation of operations cash flows, then of course it is deceiving the investors in a way that they will create a false picture of liquidity in the minds of, in their decision making. It is going to affect their decisions as well. So she explained that how it is deceiving the investors. You have to explain that. You cannot just write plainly, it is deceiving investors. I cannot write that it is just, there is a breach of integrity. I have to explain that. Okay, so in the next paragraph, I'll do that explanation. Now, that means this shows that the management is doing the misrepresentation of the cash flow, of the cash generated. This is showing the breach of integrity principle at the end of management. So the accountant is required to display a high level of integrity, high level of professional behavior, in order to help the management, to overcome. This is a standard line that you will write in all these kind of answers. Okay? So in order to overcome the management, the undue pressure that they are experiencing. Undue pressure that they are experiencing. Okay, so this would ensure that the presentation of the statements is as required by the accounting standards. Okay, now I'll come to the next paragraph. Let me complete. No, you don't have to name IS number and name. And even if you quote an IS number, for example, it is IS 7, okay? And wrongly I put it as IS 13. No, there is no negative marking for putting it wrong. But then if you're not confident, don't put. You don't get extra number for it. Are you getting it? So, but when you do questions, it will eventually stay in your mind. Okay, and then finally, you have to do a conclusion. But conclusion doesn't mean the conclusion. Meaning what? You don't have to give a judgment. You should write your action points. This is a standard line that we use, that in your ethics answer and whenever you write theory answers, whether question asks it or doesn't ask it. See, the question only asks you to discuss. Question doesn't ask you to give a final conclusion, but you should present the action points. And now what should be done? Okay, now you should present the action points. So who is required to do everything? Accountant. Give action points from the point of view of accountant. That now it is the duty of accountant to persuade the directors to follow the accounting standards, accounting rules, and accounting principles. Okay, and present the financial statements, including the cash flow statement, with truth and with the true and fair view. Right, this is a line that we use. So it has to persuade him, and in case that the management does not agree to abide by it, accountant will not leave his job, because it's not something which is affecting his integrity. Understand? So he will not leave this job, but he should not become a party of it, and he should inform the audit committee, the auditors, okay, about this non-compliance with the standard. So not every time is going to leave employment. Understand? Are you clear with how we framed the answer? Please revert. Is it giving you some clarity? Because in next question, I want you to have the thought process in the similar way. Have an introduction, give detail of the point in question, give what is, where the principle is getting breached and which principle and why. Then give accountant's duty, what he should be doing, finally giving it as an action plan. This is the final steps that you have to write in your answer. And don't worry, I would be including these writing tips also in the notes. And this is the reason why I need time, so that I can give you the notes in that full-fledged way. Okay? Any doubts, any questions? Now, Bunty, are you clear? Great. Let's move to the next one. Come on, people. We should have some good answers now. And this time, I would request Hitesh, your inputs also. Interpret detailed inputs, not one pointers. Okay, Ishan, detailed inputs. Mukesh, Nitin, Pratyushi, I know you missed out yesterday's session, but I think now you can write, right? You can. It's a very generalized topic, so I think you can write it. Okay, I would be requiring inputs from your end. Hi, Tulsi. Good morning. If you can, please share your inputs as well. So everybody, let's have more participation. Okay, let's do activity 4. It's a very interesting activity. I mean, personally, I would say it's a very good question. And it is definitely, if it is asked in exam, it is going to be around 6 to 7 marks. You are a professional accountant in Vertexa, a firm of certified chartered accountants. The CEO of Zenovate Company, an exporter of specialist equipment, has asked you for an advice on the accounting treatment and disclosure of payments being made for security consultancy services. Okay? The payments which aim to ensure that consignments are not impounded in the destination country of a major customer may be material to the financial statements. Okay? They ensure that, however, these payments may be material to the financial statements. Zenovati does not treat these payments as tax deductible expense. Okay, he's not treating them as tax deductible. So you have to think from that point of view, so that why he may not be treating it. Okay, why the company may not be treating it. Identify and comment on the ethical issues which is raised by these payments, and state what advice should be given to the CEO. Again, just take 2 minutes. Everybody, I want you to frame your paragraphs in your mind. Introduction, content, detail, breach of principles, action points. These pointers should be created in your mind. Have that thought process. In exam also, you're going to replicate it. You're going to take 2 to 3 minutes for yourself. Think the pointers and then start writing. This would give you more balanced and accurate and correct answers. I think now, all those who can, please start writing the pointers. Whatever is coming to you, whatever you think you should be writing, please start writing that. Even you can write action points, everything. Everybody please type in. Come on, everyone, start typing. So received answers so far from Indrapreet, Nikhil and Gaurav. Everybody else, come on, done with your thought process. Start typing. Some pointers I want from everybody in the class. Okay, let's discuss. So I like the way that Indrapreet has written the paragraph. Whether act of not treating the certain expenses tax itself means that expenditure is not of legal nature. Some malified objective exists. Wonderful. This is the kind of introduction that we need. Very good. Treating payment as non-tax deductible, maybe because they don't have proper backup or supporting or illegal activity. Very good. Additional point that lack of supportings may be there, lack of evidence is there, and it clearly shows some malified activity or an illegal activity is there. Okay, Nikhil has given. We don't need to scrutinize it in detail because we know that the management is wanting it to not to be tax deductible. So this is giving us an idea that it is definitely one of the expenses which is not, legal in the legal terms. So this is not needed. Okay, Gaurav, to be written. Nikhil, sorry. Uh, okay. Very good. Suriti, this is the detail that you can write. Very good. Uh, Gaurav's answer I'm reading. Do you support material professional distribution? Okay. Okay, then Aditya answer manipulation by inflating the profits by not including them. They're first trying to show the good picture of their performance, since there is the integrity and professional behavior, and accountant must first receive by discussing the consequences of the action. No, that is true, but you have gone on the wrong side, Aditya. It is not about inflating the profits. It is about the legal and the illegal nature of the transaction that you have to see. You can take this as an additional point, but the core point is missing in your answer. Very good, Pulkit, that this could be a bribery in nature also. So it is leading to illegal nature of the transactions. It is a breach of the integrity principle, and yes, objectivity also, because biasness is coming here. Yes, Bunty, correct. Diksha, these payments must be disclosed. There's a customary material in nature. Not doing so will compromise integrity, will affect the decisions. Yes, it is an additional point that you can write. We're not talking about major customer of a country. It's a company's major customer. No, but this is not something that you have to write, Ishan. No, this is not. You are missing out from the core concept. So no, this is not. Chetan has given. Absolutely correct. So what you have given me is correct, all of you, almost. Some got deviated to other portions, but we have to stick to our core concept. We cannot write stories in the answer, right? So first paragraph that I would take from Inderpreet's what he has written, additional to Gaurav's point, that by just reading the question, we can understand that, the payments that are being made, this company, Zonawate, wants to claim it as non-tax deductible. So a company would generally like to claim an expense as non-tax deductible, probably only when they don't have sufficient supporting evidence for the same, or it is something which is not legal in nature. So probably by reading for it, that they want to pay this amount in order to ensure that the consignments are not impounded, is raising the eyebrows and leading us to think that it is basically looking like bribery which is there. So which is illegal in nature, and it is definitely not something which is to be encouraged. Okay, it is definitely not something which should be encouraged, and therefore the expenses do not look bona fide at all. Okay, and now it is very clear that the company is why not think from the point of view that why company would like to make these payments only when they are earning good amount from the customer. So since this customer looks a material and substantial customer from which from whom they're earning good income, so therefore they are going resorting to these security consultancy services or the payments kind of thing. So this is definitely, like one of you pointed out, that is a money laundering that is there. Yes, money laundering activities there. So CEO should be advised that they should refrain from entering into these activities with the customer due to the legality issue. Okay, and it is a serious offense, as per the law of the country. So it should be reported. Now, but the point is, along with the breach of principle of integrity from the management point of view, if accountant is reporting it to any authority, then it is breach of confidentiality from accountant point of view. So you have to write that also in the action point. When I'm writing in the action point, that since there's a breach of activity happening, okay, and if the CEO does not stop, if the CEO does not stop this, payments, this activity, this offense, so then in that case, accountant should report to the concerned authority for the money laundering. However, it is going to affect the principle of confidentiality also for making the client data public, client information public. So therefore, he should make a report, and however, he can undertake the whistleblowing activity. He can be a whistleblower to, make this activity, malicious activity, aware to everybody. Okay, this is the final action point that you can write. Are you clear with this now, everyone? With these answers that we have discussed, is it giving you a rough idea that how you should be going ahead with ethics questions? It's very good, because when I give you a homework question today, I want it to be written in the most perfect way. Okay, I would be giving you that. I would be giving you probably 2 to 3 questions that you have to write on your own. Uh, yes, whistleblowers are always breaching confidentiality. This is the reason why they can have a legal case also put up against them. But if the company's policy allows the existence of whistleblowers, or if the company's policy is encouraging whistleblowing by the employees, so then in that case it will not be breach of confidentiality, because they have got a supporting rule from the rule of books of the companies, which is supporting whistleblowing activity. Am I clear? So you have to see the counting company's policies also. If the question is silent, you can add this point in your answering. Okay, so now activity 5, please try to do it at your own when you're reading the question. Okay, now I come to a very important concept of related party. Very important concept. Pulkit has asked me, everybody can see this question. Sometimes money is paid to GST officer or labor officer to get the paperwork done. As an accountant, what is the responsibility to get the paperwork done in the most correct way? Yourself. Why do you give these money extra, any monies are under the table to these people? Why? Either to get the things quickly done. Okay. So just have patience and wait for the things to go smoothly. Okay, it is just that we need to have patience for the time also that's going. And many times, why do you do it? Because you've done an error, right? There has been some mistake, some error, some missing out points from the accountant's point of view. So that professional competence should be there. So I think this gives you answer, Pulkit. Okay. Before, I know. That's what I said. On books, yes, it is there, but practically, many times it is not there. And I have myself faced these situations. Being a consultant, I myself face the situations. So I understand that completely. But then on books, in the exam, we have to write what is theoretically there. At least we cannot write these wrongdoings and support them. Correct? Because we're bound by code of ethics. Okay, now people, I'm going to play a video because the next topic that we're discussing is related party. Okay, related party from the ethics point of view. IAS 24 is what we are looking into precisely. Okay, so I'm playing this 8 minutes video, and you don't have to go anywhere because this video is playing. You have to understand it. That will help you in understanding the concept that I will take after the video. Okay. In case of any audio issues, video issues, just let me know.
Related parties, a huge and sensitive topic, so let's cover that today. I am Sylvia of cpdbox.com. We have multiple times with the last amendment into IAS 20's financial statements contain the disclosures necessary to draw attention to the possibility that its financial position and profit or loss may have been affected by the existence of related parties and by transactions and outstanding balances, including commitments with such parties. In other words, you should be aware that a business might be affected by related parties and how. And related party transactions and balances need to be disclosed in both entities' separate financial statements as well as consolidated financial statements. But it's here good to know that intra-group related party transactions and outstanding balances are eliminated upon consolidation. Yeah. So now, who is a related party? And IAS 24 gives us really extensive definition, but let's focus on basics here. We speak about related parties with reference to the reporting entity always, so the one who is presenting the financial statements. And there are two main categories of related parties. The first one is persons. So people can be related parties. Which one? First of all, if that person has control or joint control of the reporting entity, then it is of course related party. Then the person has significant influence over the reporting entity, or a person is a member of key management personnel of the reporting entity or its parent. We illustrate all these situations in our premium course, the IFRS Kit, so check that out if you'd like to get a good grip of that. Now, it does not apply to persons themselves only, but to the close family members too. So for example, chief executive officer of certain company is its related party, but also his wife, children, and other dependents are. So the second category of the related parties are entities, so companies, organizations, and other institutions, and IS-24 lists which ones, so let's go through them. Members of the same group, so for example, subsidiaries of the same parent are related parties to each other as well as to the parent. Next, one entity is an associate or joint venture of the other entity or of a member of a group of which the other entity is a member. Next, both entities are joint ventures of the same party, and similar situation happens when one entity is an associate of the third entity and the other entity is joint venture of the third entity, then they are mutually related. Next, the entity is a post-employment benefit plan for the benefit of employees of either reporting entity or its related party. Plus, here sponsoring employers come into play when we speak about post-employment plan itself, and here we mean pension plans, for example. Next, the entity is controlled or jointly controlled by a person identified in A. So if you remember well, these are all kinds of persons in the position of related parties, whether owners, key management personnel, or their family members. Next, a person identified in A has significant influence over the entity or is a member of key management personnel of the entity or of a parent of the entity. And finally, the entity of any member of a group of which it is a part provides key management personnel services to the reporting entity. So the thing is that not only persons but also entities can act as key management.
Let's understand it from the screen. So basically, as per the IS-24, related parties can be multiple, can be many. They are precisely being grouped into two categories. Persons, that is individuals, we call it, okay, or we call it as entities. Individuals or entities, only these two groups are there. In the individuals categories, who are the related parties? All the individuals who have control either individually or jointly with others, okay, over the reporting entity that we're talking about. So reporting entity is the entity in question. Just a minute. Okay. Okay, so I'll repeat again. So all the individuals who have control means what? Holding more than 50% of the shares. Okay, so all the individuals who have control over the reporting entity, either individually or jointly. See, control is not defined, not required to be defined in the question. So you don't need to define that 50% criteria and not. Okay, because that is going to be mentioned in the question. control term. So anyways, then they are called as a related party for that reporting entity. Or if an individual has significant influence, may not be having control, but has significant influence over the other, over the reporting entity, then we say that they are related entities, okay, related parties. Again, I'm just checking it. A significant influence is not required to be again explained in the question. More than 50%, we say. 50% more than 50% means 50.1%, 50.2% also. Okay, more than 50%. Yeah. Okay, so again, significant influence is not explained, but let me tell you, significant influence means the right to participate and probably take decisions, especially the policy making decisions for the company. So then we say that the person has significant influence. He may not be holding 50%, okay, but he has significant influence over the other entity. So then we can say that he is a related party of other reporting entity, because these two terminologies will be extremely important when we talk about entities. Okay, so I just want you to have focus on my screen only. I will be sharing the screen in your notes also. Okay, and this is a is a member of the key management personnel. Okay, so KMPs are the ones who are key to the success of the organization, be CEO, COO, finance directors, all these are generally the KMP. Now, when we say KMP, we just don't talk about the KMP of the reporting entity. Even a KMP of the parent of the reporting entity is also related party. Okay, so KMP of the reporting entity or of a parent of the reporting entity are also covered here. Along with them, their close family members are also covered here. So close family members, I will just explain you and give you details. Who all are close family members? Close family members are the person's children, spouse, or the civil partner, children of that person's spouse or the civil partner, dependents of that person and that, spouse or the civil partner. Okay, so this is what we understand by the family. So just like here it was explained, it is not just the CEO, but his wife is also a related party for the reporting entity. So again, for individuals, we have three major clauses: control or joint control, significant influence, or member of KMP of the same reporting entity or of the parent of the reporting entity and their close family members. This is group 1. Group 2 is entity. It looks clumsy, does not, I'll simplify it. When we talk about entities, let's just look at the companies of the same group. So all the entities of the same group, which group? Your parent subsidiary group. So all the entities of the same group, they are related party to each other. I mean, logically, of course, they are related party to each other because they're governed by the same parent. So they are related party to each other. That means the parent, subsidiary, and fellow subsidiaries are all related to each other. Second, joint ventures or associates. Joint venture is when two companies come together and they start a company jointly. They start on and we call it as joint venture only. Okay. Again, associate, it is not required to be defined, but associate company is a company. Okay, associate company is a company that is not a subsidiary, and that generally we say has an ownership where the percentage in the other company for the shares is between 20 to 50%. That company is called as an associate company. But again, like I said, you are not required to calculate that percentage and identify the associate companies in the question. Question will give you that data that this is an associate company. Okay, now coming back to it. So for the entities, we know that the companies under the same group, they are related party to each other, precisely parent, subsidiary, and the fellow subsidiaries. Second, associate of the reporting entity, they are related to that reporting entity. Logically, Even the joint venture for that reporting entity, whatever, it may have entered into with another company as a joint venture. So that joint venture is a related party for that reporting entity. So the reporting entity is say Enviro Limited. Joint venture is Enviro ABC joint venture. So now this new joint venture is related party to Enviro. Got it? There are two companies who started the joint venture, Enviro and ABC. So their joint venture name is Enviro ABC joint venture. Now this new venture, which is the joint venture, would be a related party to Enviro. Clear? Now apart from this, associates and joint ventures, if they have any subsidiaries, okay, so any subsidiaries of the associates or the joint venture will also be a related party. Just like we had members of the same group related party, associate, joint venture and their subsidiaries are also related party for the reporting entity. Please just remember it as a simple rule that when a company is a reporting entity is, sorry, when a company is a related party to a reporting entity, look for their parent subsidiary also. They also become a related party to that reporting entity. It's a simple rule that you can follow. Okay, now both are joint venture of the same entity. Okay, just like we have understood here, both are joint venture of the same entity. But that means if both entities, there are two entities, if both entities are joint ventures of the same third party, then of course they are related party. Okay, if they have the same third party with which there are two entities, they have created a joint venture. Okay, so then it's a related party for the reporting entity. Okay, now another, if one is an associate and one is a joint venture of the third party. So then in that case, then also related party concept will be there. It means if one entity is an associate or a joint venture of the other entity, okay, or the company is an, or the entity is an associate or joint venture of a member of a group to which the other entity is a member, then they become related party. It's better if I explain you here in Excel. I think that's more better to not make it clumsy. Okay, so related party as per IAS 20. First category, individuals, or we call it as persons. Okay, so the related party would be the ones who have, so related party for the reporting entity would be the ones who are having control or joint control over the reporting entity. Okay, another one, significant influence over the reporting entity. And the next one, member of the KMP of the reporting entity or the parent of the reporting entity. Okay, this is the first group. B group is entities. So here I'll write related parties would be number A, the entity and the reporting entity are the members of the same group, then I'm just explaining it so that it is not confusing. Then each parent subsidiary and fellow subsidiary are the related party. Okay, next. If one entity is an associate or joint venture of the other entity, or even for a group, or an associate or joint venture of the group of the member of the group, sorry, of a member, only one member, of a member of the group of which the reporting entity is also a member. Okay, would be a related party. What does it mean? That suppose we have an associate A. Okay, associate A is actually an associate for ABC company. Okay, and this ABC company is a fellow subsidiary for BD company. Okay, ABC and BD are under the same group. So if A is an associate of ABC and it is related party for ABC, that we know, A would also be a related party for BD because they both are also under the same group. So it is not like my associate is my related party, is my friend's also, is my sister's associate is also my related party because we are under the same group. Are we clear with this? So, okay, so the companies which are under the same group, their related parties, their associates and joint ventures are related party for the other members of the same group as well. Not just for that reporting entity, but for the other members of the same group as well. Okay, I've just tried to simplify it so that you understand it perfectly. The next one. If both entities, that is the reporting entity and the entity in question, if both entities, they are joint ventures of the same third party, then they both are related party. What does this mean? That suppose ABC company has made a joint venture with Enviro, BD company has made a joint venture with Enviro. So both are having the same third party. So then ABC and BD are also related party because they both have the same third party with which they have made the joint venture. Okay. Next, the next one. If one entity, don't worry, I'll summarize it also. If one entity is a joint venture of a third party and the other entity which is in question, right? The other entity is an associate of the third party or third party entity. Okay, then the associate would be related party for the reporting entity. What does it mean? That ABC Limited has made a joint venture with Enviro. Okay. And BD is not made a joint venture with Enviro, but BD is an associate of Enviro. So then BD and ABC would also be related party because they have common third parties. Okay. Not in the form of direct joint venture, but one is joint venture, one is associate. So the reporting entity and associate will also be related party. Keep it very simple. Wherever you have common third parties, be it joint venture, be it associate, related parties. Okay. Just remember it like that. Another point. The entity in question The entity is a post-employment. It was there in the video also. The entity is a post-employment benefit plan. Okay, so the entity is a post-employment benefit plan. Post-employment benefit plan means the entity is probably a pension fund company. Okay, or it is a company which is into the post-employment, post-retirement employment benefits. It is that company. And why you have entered into a transaction with that company? Because the reporting entity's employees are, are using the benefit plans or pension plans of this company. I again repeat. So the entity in question is a post-employment benefit plan, okay, which is for the benefit of employees of the reporting entity, or the entities which are related party to the reporting entity. So suppose if there's a joint venture which is a related party to the reporting entity, correct? So now if for that joint venture employees also, we have entered into a transaction with the post-employment benefit plan entity. So even the joint venture will also be a related party for it. I'll explain. Post-employment benefit plans means, what happens in various companies, they provide you with pension funds services. Generally, it is pension fund that we talk about. So there's a company, suppose in UK, that is, for example, we say XYZ. And what is that company about? It is the company that gives only pension plans. Like, for example, LIC only gives insurance plans. Like, there may be other investment plans, but that are all related to insurance. So just like that, XYZ is a company that is just dealing with pension funds. Okay, it creates pension funds. It sets up pension funds for other companies. Now there is a company ABC that has entered into a agreement with XYZ, where they are the employees of ABC companies. They are provided with pension funds set up in XYZ. Okay, so XYZ is precisely creating pension fund accounts for ABC companies, maintaining it, and maintaining those balances and all. So everything is done at XYZ. So now the question is ABC and XYZ related? Yes. Okay, so as per the law, as per IAS, just because it is providing post-employment benefit plans to another company's employees, so that company and this company would be both related. And not just this, whichever entities are related party for ABC would automatically become related party with XYZ also. Are you now clear with this, Bunty? Okay. See, things look a lot of clumsy, too many related parties. But let me complete this, and I'll give you just one tip whereby you can remember it all completely. Okay, so just allow me that 5 minutes. So the entity is a post-employment benefit plan for the benefit of employees of the reporting entity, or the entities which are related party to these reporting entities. Gaurav is saying, ma'am, let's summarize it. Whoever is doing business with XYZ is a related party. No, it is not that whoever is doing business. A creditor, we did not say is a related party here. But let me complete it. Let me complete it fully, then I can show you the full picture. So just allow me that 5 minutes patience of yours. Okay, the next one. The individuals are the individuals mentioned in the earlier category are controlling the entity in question. Then the individuals would be related party to the reporting entity. What does this mean? That there is individual A who's having 70% share capital of ABC. Okay. I would come to disclosures. We are not done with related party. It's a very elaborated topic. We're not done with it. So I know it looks boring, but let me just complete the list, guys. I'm writing more, so that when you read it, you will not be confused, because when you read the law like that, it is very confusing. Okay, so just allow me 5 minutes. I would be giving you disclosures and every detail in the brief. Okay, but let's just complete this first. So here I'm mentioning that suppose there is individual A who's controlling entity X A B C. Okay, who's controlling entity A B C, and that entity is controlling the related that entity is controlling the reporting entity. So if I see that there is individual A who is controlling ABC, and ABC is controlling XYZ. Can we say that A is controlling XYZ? Yes, A is equal to B is equal to C, so A is equal to C. Indirect control. Okay, so yes, we can say then A is also controlling XYZ. That basically means A and XYZ are related parties. Okay, not just two more points only. Next, I will give you the example. Let me just complete the list. I will create a complete example here where every pointer will be covered. Okay, I know, because even when I read this much story, I also get confused if I have to read it in the first go. But I'm just mentioning the points here so that they will stick in your mind. And when I do the example, you can correlate with each and every point. So just another 2 points to go. As I'm trying to write it in a way where things will be a little bit clearer to you when you revise it again. Okay, so I'm just framing them in my own words here. Yeah, so the individuals no, here, not the individuals, we'll talk about the entities. Individuals will come in the next point. Don't worry, I won't make you forget it. Okay, I just need 5 minutes, because after that I'll give you a break also. Yeah. So the individuals mentioned in the earlier category have significant influence over the entity over the reporting entity or is a member of the KMP of the entity or of the parent of the entity. Then the individual is a related party to the reporting entity. Guys, just one last point and then I'm giving you a comprehensive example. We have in fact many examples to discuss. Okay, now the entity or any member of the group, yeah, this is the last point. The entity in question, the entity or any member of the group provides KMP services, entities providing KMP services to the reporting entity or the parent of the reporting entity, then the entity or the member would be related party. Okay, that's all. So now let me just summarize it. Also, I have to explain the close members. Please note, along with the individuals, their close family members like spouse, civil partner, or we call them domestic partner. It's when they're not married. Okay, children, dependents are related parties as well. Okay, I'll just repeat it again. So let's take a comprehensive example to understand it. Please look here. In this example, ABC is the reporting entity. That means the entity in question is ABC. Okay, now first example I'm taking wherein Mr. X is controlling, or Mr. X is CEO of ABC. Since he is a KMP, so Mr. X is a related party. Clear? Okay, I'm going slow. If you have any queries, stop me there. Now I'm taking B example. B example is where there are two companies. XYZ is a subsidiary, is a fellow subsidiary in the same group. And AB is the associate of ABC. Okay. And OP is the joint venture with another company is there. So let's say it is PQR. So now let's see who all are related parties here. Since XYZ is a fellow subsidiary, so we will say that XYZ is a related party. Now, AB is the associate of ABC. So we will say that AB is a related party. Since OP is the joint venture with PQR, PQR is a third party. Okay, since OP is the joint venture with PQR, please note OP would be the related party. Okay, I hope I'm clear till this point. OP is the joint venture. It is a joint venture which is entered into. We have this clause, if one entity is an associate or a joint venture of another entity or an associate or joint venture of a member of the group, then they would be related party. Okay. I will write here, OP is the joint venture of ABC with PQR. Okay. Please look here. OP is the joint venture of ABC with PQR. So please look here. OP is the related party for ABC. PQR will not be related party for ABC. Just because I'm entering into a joint venture with another company will by default will not become my related party. Am I clear with till this point? I'm going slow for this. Since OP is the final joint venture, that joint venture will be a related party for ABC. PQR will not be a related party for ABC. So your question can be, ma'am, when PQR will be related party? Now let me take that example. Any questions till the point? Okay, I'll repeat here again. So let me take another. I'll not write OP here. I'll write JV here. I think that is easy to correlate. Okay, I'm explaining this point again. I'm reading this point. If one entity is an associate or joint venture of another entity, okay, or an associate or a joint venture of member of the group of which related entity is also a member, okay, would be a related party. So what does this mean? It basically means I will edit this example more. And so that I can take the third and the fourth point also. Just leave it. I will just add more to it. And I will say that JV is the joint venture of ABC with XYZ. Let's take this example. Okay. And I'll take one more example. C example, that we have a joint venture. Joint venture is, what should I give it? CDE. No. Joint venture is in the name of AB joint venture. Okay. Now this is a joint venture with PQR and another entity. Then it is better for you to understand. And another entity, CD joint venture, CD has created CD joint venture with PQR. Okay. D example, I'll explain. Just be on hold because I'm taking 3-4 examples parallelly so that joint venture concepts become clear. We are talking about here CD joint venture and OA associate of PQR. Okay, now let's see the related parties. So please look here. Okay, clear, please look here. In the first example, Mr. X is CEO of ABC. Since he's a KMP, he is a related party. So who's related party? Mr. X. XYZ is a fellow subsidiary. So XYZ is the related party. Before I take a B example more, I will take C example first. There is a joint venture entered between ABC and PQR, and the name is ABJV. Okay. With PQR, another entity is also entered into a joint venture, which is CDJV. So with the common third party, two entities have entered into a joint venture. So what is a related party here? CD will also be a related party for ABC. Am I clear for this? Just please revert those who are not able to understand. Only those. Let's go to the next one then. Now we have, with the common third party, there is a joint venture. No, I'm not talking about CDJV right now. I'm talking about these two entities. The joint venture, I will take care here. Okay. Here, what point we understood? In this clause, we understood this point, that if both the entities are joint venture of the same third party, then both the entities will be related party. Are you clear for this? If you have any doubts, put that in the chat box. Now I'm taking care of the next point. Okay. I'll do that in the chart then. I'll do that in the chart. So I'll create a chart for the reporting entity. I think that is better. I'll do this way. Yeah, I'll do it this way. I'll do it individually for the different arrows then. So the same example, I'll convert it into a chart. And I'll give it a heading. That's better. Right, like here, I'll write KMP. Okay, so related by reporting entity and the KMP of the reporting entities, for example, CEO. Is this okay? Are you all, I mean, is this okay for everyone if I keep it like this kind of a chart? Fine, fine. Okay, but I'm sorry, I'll have to take a break right now because there is something important, and I have to mention that today I would be completing it, okay, with the chart. But today I will be giving you a break. No, different chart is needed for different example. With the same reporting entity, I'll create multiple arrows. Okay. So that with every example, you have to only check in relation to that same reporting entity. Got it in the Preet? I've got it, Bundy. There is no use of creating charts for different entities. So the same reporting entity, I have to create relationship with different categories. I will create one category joint venture. In that, I will create various subcategories. Okay, so that you can correlate to it perfectly. Okay, don't worry, I'll take care of it. I'll take care of it. Generally, I took examples in the previous session, but now here I'll take chart. Not a problem. But I have to take a break, and that is for 30 minutes. I will extend the class today by 15 minutes. Okay, because there is something that need this much time. Only for today. So it's 11:40. We'll resume around 11:10. But I request you all not to go anywhere because first thing that I will do once the break is over, I'll prepare the chart and I'll discuss it with you for everything. And then we have to do questions relating to it. Okay, so just allow me 30 minutes. All of you, after that, of course, there is no break. And today we'll have a session till 2:15, 2:20. Only for today. Okay, so I'm just taking the time off for 30 minutes right now. And after that, we'll continue. Okay, people, I think we can resume now. So please have all eyes on my screen. I'm taking all the examples again. So just forget about whatever we discussed earlier so that everything is afresh. Okay. Okay, just look at my screen. I'm taking examples for both the categories. for individuals and for reporting entity. First example that I'm taking for individual is control. Okay, so now let's take an example that, for example, there is person Y. Okay, there is person A having joint control over, we can say, entity R. So A and entity R are related party. Now I'm taking the second example. If you have any questions in between, just type it in the chat box. Second example is for significant influence. Okay, so now I can take this example here. Let's take an example that if the same person I'm taking, person A, has significant influence over entity, this was R, so let's take S. Okay, hence A and entity S are related party. Okay, now I'm taking a third example. KMP. In fact, I have to take one more example. Okay, now I'm taking this example, which is KMP. Key management personnel. Okay, now I'm taking a bit twisted example. Let's not take a simple example. So I am taking that if person A, same person only, is a KMP, is a member of KMP, is a member of KMP of entity B. Okay, and has control over entity C. Okay, if person A is a member of KMP of entity B and he has control over entity C, then because he is a KMP of entity B and he becomes a related party for entity B and he has got a control over entity C, so he's a related party for entity C as well. Hence, entity B and C hence entity B and C are related party for each other, or we can say they are related parties. Am I clear with this? Now I'll take the next one, that is for common control. Okay. So this is common close family members. Let's take an example for close family member as well. Okay, let's take that example. So let's say that if person A is a father of person D. Okay, these two are fathers. They both are related to each other. Okay. And A controls entity C. Okay. And person D controls entity F. Then entities C and F are related parties. Please tell me, are you clear till this point? If you have any concerns, any queries, please put that in the chat box. Are you clear for this? Because here I will keep it in not in the arrow form, but in a structured form. Every example. Please tell me, are you clear? Any questions? Guys, revert. I want reverts by everyone, especially those who have doubts. Are you clear with 4 examples here? Absolutely crystal clear, right? Good. Now, there's just one point that I want you to note here. Okay, so I will just write it as a note. In fact, that I can write here. Okay, please note one thing. These are some notes that I'm going to highlight in. Okay. If an individual has significant influence and not control over both the entities, then the two entities would not be related party. Am I clear with this? I repeat again. If in this example you find that for the close family members, we had the person who's having control. I mean, they had control over the two entities. So the two entities became a related party. If in place of control, it was significant influence, then only with the direct entity, related party relationship would be created. Between the two entities, related party relationship will not be there. Okay, I hope with this individuals, we are absolutely clear. Now let's go to this related party establishment for the reporting entity. Okay, so now one by one pointer I'm taking. Okay, first pointer that I'm taking is when they're member of the same group. Okay, so one by one we'll have these pointers. Yeah, dependent. So I'm assuming father is dependent. Yeah, dependent father, or else I'll write here the term dependent father. Okay. Okay, now please look here. First point that I'm taking here is the members of the same group. So I'm writing the heading same group. Okay, now for example, we can take that entity A. Now here my main entity is entity A. Okay, entity A and entity B are subsidiaries of entity Z. Okay, then A, B, Z are related party. I hope I'm clear with this. Let's take the next one. Here I'm giving the main heading, joint ventures and associates. Okay, under the joint venture and associate, let's take different examples. First example that I'm taking is red entity and blue entity have a joint venture orange. Okay, red entity and blue entity have a joint venture orange. So orange entity is a related party for both red and blue. Am I clear with this? If you have any doubts, please just stop me there and ask. But I'm giving you some random examples. Okay. I did not say that entity red and blue entity are related party, because this is an exception that I'm going to tell you now. Just because the two entities come together to make a joint venture, they don't become related party like that. So here, since they have a common related party, common entity, which is a joint venture orange, because red is also related to joint venture orange and blue is also related to joint venture orange. Therefore, orange is related party for both red and blue. Am I clear? This is the common third party clause. Okay, let's go to the second one. Second example that I'm taking is that if, for example, let's say black is an associate of red entity, and we know that orange is a joint venture of red entity. Okay, orange is a joint venture of red entity. So orange and brown are related party. I'll read the clauses after we do the example. Third example I'm taking is okay, I can take an example that orange is a joint venture of red entity and ABC is a subsidiary sorry, I'm sorry. Sorry. Just typing in. I was about to take orange color here, a brown here. Okay, so I'm doing it with color so that A, B, C, D, E, F doesn't confuse you. Now please read here. Read here. Orange is a joint venture of red entity and brown entity is a subsidiary of red entity. Now we can see that brown is a part of the group. Brown is a part of the group to which red belongs. So what we have read that if there is a joint venture or an associate of an entity and the entity is a part of the other group, so then that member of the group and this joint venture, they both are related parties also. Whether it's a joint venture and associate, same clause will be there. Okay, so then now in this case, hence brown and orange will be related party. Okay, as brown is of the same group as red entity. So we can write here as brown is in the same group as red entity. I hope I'm clear till this point. Do you have any questions and queries? Then please type it in the chat box. Does it give you more clarity now for the joint ventures? The same rule, that same example that I've taken for joint venture, you can replace it with associate. It's the same clause. Guys, anyone with any doubts so far? I do hope that these examples are giving you clarity. Okay. Yes, red and blue are not related parties. So I'll come to this point. Out of this, I can conclude one very important point that red and blue are not related parties. I will write it in the notes here. Okay, I will write it in the notes here. I would share this, this Excel, this sheet at the end of the lecture. Balance all sheets, I will share it by tomorrow, most probably. Okay, so now please look here. Notes for this clause. I'm going very slow so that the concepts, they are absolutely crystal clear to everybody. Okay, what are the notes? Number one, two companies or two entities we call them two entities to the joint venture, or we call them joint venturers, do not become related party for each other or to each other by virtue of joint control over the joint venture. So in our example, red and blue would not be related parties for each other. Just because they are entering into the joint venture as a venturer, they will not become related party for each other. Okay. Now, next, I will take another example for KMPs now. So the joint venture and associates are over. Okay, that portion. Now I'm taking the example for KMP. Okay, let's have the example for KMP and post-employment benefit plan. So first I'm taking KMP example. Okay, so we can take the example. Yes, Gaurav. Like I said, like here I've taken orange as a joint venture. You can take orange as an associate. Same example, same rules, same clause. Okay, so whether it's a joint venture or an associate, same rule is there. Okay, now okay, now let's take for KMP, or before KMP, I can take the post-employment benefit plan. Only two headings are over, two subheadings are left, post-employment benefit plan and individuals. So I'll take that grouping, individuals. In that, I'll take KMP and other examples. Okay, so first I'm taking post-employment benefit plan. Okay, so now here I can take an example that, for example, purple entity or I can continue with P sleeve colors. For example, P entity is a pension fund entity for the benefit of employees of entity A. Okay, so P entity is a pension fund entity for the benefit of employees of entity A. So then entity P and entity A are related party. Am I clear till this point? Okay. Now, for the individuals, I've already taken the example here. Okay, the same example, so I really don't think I should write down. Controlling, we have discussed here that person A has joint control over entity R, and so entity A, yeah, A and entity R are related party. Now, in continuation of it, I think, yeah, in continuation of it, yes, we can write here the same example only, but in continuation. Wait, I need to take the example. So here I'm grouping it as individuals. First example that I'm taking here is, no. See, significant influence, Nikhil, is never determined by percentage. Significant influence is when you have when you have a decisive role in the policy making of an organization. We call it as significant influence. Generally, significant influence comes with control only. But many times, like for example, I have set up, I'm just giving you an example. Suppose I'm a director in a company. I'm just holding shares of 30%. Okay. I'm not holding 50% or more than 50% shares. But when it comes to decision making, I have a strong hold in decision making. That is, if I have taken a decision, generally that's finalized, even though I'm not controlling it. Because many times people don't own shares. Okay, they route it through someone else, but they are key persons in the decision making. So then we say it's a significant influence that they have over the decision making of the company. Am I clear? Okay. Okay, now please look for individuals. First example that I'm taking here is that, for example, person A is having control over entity A and entity B. So entity A and B are related party. Am I clear with this? Any doubts? Then please put this in the chat box. Next example, actually I have taken the same example, I'll copy. Same example, but I'm copying it here so that, they all are streamlined at one place. For example, this person A is a member of KMP of entity B, and he has a control over entity C. So then entity B and C are related parties. Okay, now here, whether he's a member of KMP, here two angles are covered. Okay, whether he's a member of KMP or has significant influence over entity B, then also they will be related parties. I'm not saying he has significant influence over both the entities. For one entity, he has significant influence due to which he's a related party for that entity. And for the other entity, he has control. So by virtue of that, both entities will be related parties. But if for both he has significant influence, then they won't be related parties. Related party relationship will only be there when there is control. Okay, please understand that very, very clearly. At least one of the entities he should have control. Okay, now let me take the last one. Okay, now for example, this would come in next example. I'll take it here, one more example. Okay, so this is KMP services. Okay, please look here. For example, entity Z of entity Z, which is the parent of entity A, provides KMP services I'll write here entity A will confuse entity. Okay, please look here. There is an entity Z. Entity Z is a parent of entity G. Okay, and it is providing KMP services to entity A. Okay, so what has happened? Entity G is providing KMP services to entity A. I'll write here which provides, so that doesn't confuse you. Now, please look at the situation here. Entity G is providing KMP services to entity A. Since they are providing KMP services, by virtue of KMP relationship, G and A are related parties. Continuing the same example, now any member of the group of G, let it be parent, let it be subsidiary, they will also, by virtue of being member to this entity, they will also become a related party to entity A. Hence, entity G and A are related parties, and entity Z and entity A are also related parties. Please tell me, is everything clear? Let me just put this all again to you, and if you have a query, please ask. Okay, I've tried to create this example in the most simplified way so that things are absolutely clear to everybody. Okay, still if it is not clear, let me know. I'll explain it by other way also. I don't have an issue. Okay, I'll just re-explain this. So now let me go through the pointers again. And if you have a doubt, please ask me. We've discussed for the individuals, we've discussed for the entities. Any pointer which is still not clear, please ask me. See, and then I'll just put 2-3 more notes points. So summary, after these points, I'll tell you a quick way to remember the things. Okay, things will not look clumsy. For individuals, just please remember, whenever any individual has control over the entity, significant influence over the entity, or KMP of the entity, they are by default related parties. If they are a KMP of one entity, control over another entity, related parties. Okay, so wherever there is control between two entities, related parties. Significant influence with one entity, control over another entity, related party, because control has come. So even when one entity control has come, related parties. Okay, the entities become related. Both parties significant influence, not related. Simple way to understand. Okay, now when I say for entities, first point, entities of the same group, related party, parent, subsidiary, fellow subsidiary, related party. If one entity is an associate or joint venture of the other entity, okay, or they are an associate or joint venture of the group of which related party is also a member, the third party would be, so then they would be related party. Okay, we did that example where we had the joint venture of the reporting entity was there, right? So then they became a related party. Got it? And whether it's a joint venture or an associate, it's the same definition that we will carry. We had this example here. That if orange is a joint venture of red entity and brown entity is a subsidiary of red entity, so then orange and brown, they become a related party because brown is of the same group as the red entity. Okay, so if one entity is an associate or a joint venture of another entity, or an associate or joint venture of a member of another entity, which is a part of the group, then they become related party. If both entities are joint venture of the same third party, then they both are related parties. So which both, I'll clear it. So better I will write it like this. Then the third party is a related party for both. Let me write it like this. So this will give you clarity. Okay. However, just because the two entities are a part of joint venture, they will not become a related party. Okay. If one entity is a joint venture of a third party and the other entity is an associate of the third party, then the associate would be a related party for the reporting entity. Okay, that means the joint venture and associate both will become related party for each other. Okay, got it? One entity is a joint venture, another is a associate. They would become related parties. The entity is a post-employment benefit plan for the benefit of employees of the reporting entity. So then the entities which are which are related party to the, or the entities which are related party to the reporting entity. Okay, so not just the reporting entity, but the related party of the reporting entity also, they will become the related parties to each other. Just like we took an example. The individual mentioned in the other category, in the above category, if they're controlling the entities, they become related party. Just like they have significant influence or KMP for one entity, control over another entity, they become related party. What is a shortcut to remember? Control. So if both entities, if any one of them has control, related party. Just remember it like that. In a very, very simplified way. Okay, and the entity or the member which provides KMP services, related party. And remember that wherever entity comes, its group always comes together. So wherever you have entity, group is also going to be treated in the same way. Wherever you have joint venture, associate is going to be treated in the same way. Wherever you have control, related party relationship will come by default. Is this summary clear? If you still have doubts, don't worry. I'm going to take up more questions now to clarify this all. Okay? So just remember these tips. Now, there are just two notes that I'm telling you. These are exceptions where you don't have related party relationship there. The second note that I'm taking here is that entities, just because they share common KMP, will not give rise to a related party relationship. Just like we have significant influence. Okay, so if I say that two entities will not be related party just because they share any KMP. Okay, just because they share any KMP, or just because they share any KMP, for example, director. So the two companies which have common directors doesn't make them related party if they don't have control. See, if a KMP has a control, then there is no challenge. They become related parties. But just because there is a KMP or an entity has a significant influence over both of them, a person doesn't matter. It will not be related because you need control thing in order to create the relationship. Got it? Last exception that I will take up, or there are one of you mentioned about the debtors and the creditors. I'll just mention that. Okay. Entities will not be related parties by virtue of normal business transactions. Okay. Just because they have normal business transactions, okay, are there, they will not become related party to each other. Will not be, oh, I'm sorry, I missed. Entities will not be related parties just because they have normal business transactions, even if it is affecting their decision making. Okay, it's a normal business transaction, but the materiality is there. And even if it affects the decision making of the entity, then also they will not become related parties, because what we need, a basic criteria, control. There is no control here. So that's why I say it's very easy to remember. You have to just remember control. You have to just remember joint ventures, associates, same thing. Control, then only related party. Okay, and KMPs. So these 3-4 things you have to just remember. That's all. Otherwise, it is very simplified. Sorry, and members of the group, right? They go together with that person. So we say that I go and with me, my family goes. This is how I remember it. My family is my group. Okay, so if I am a related party, my family becomes a related party itself. Okay, last point. Actually, continuing to it. So the customers, agents, the normal agents, general agents, distributors, okay, etc. do not automatically qualify as related party. Any questions till this point? Now, please put it in the chat box. Please put it in the chat box quickly. Any questions? Okay, so here are the pointers. Now, I think you can understand members of the same group, associate or joint venture. Both are joint venture of the same entity. Okay, one is associate, one is joint venture of the third party. So then this third party also becomes related party to them. Okay, third party becomes related party to them. Post-employment benefit plan controlled by a person, significant influence or KMP, for then they are related to that person. Entity provides KMP services. Am I clear? And the KMP KMP example also we had, that if a person is a KMP for one entity and is control over another entity, then they become related. Okay, quick note. Can we move ahead? I will share this video also in the group. Just after the class today only I'll share it. Let's do some questions, people, so that we have clarity. Yeah. And who's going to do the questions? Not me. You're going to solve it. Okay. So let's have these questions. Then I'll come to the pricing methods and all. Okay, quick. First question. And I'm going to be giving you questions today from homework, not from this book. Apart from this book, I'll give you some other questions as well. Okay. So now, first question. Person Y is controlling or jointly controlling entity G and is controlling or jointly controlling entity H. Which are the related parties here? Quickly put it in the chat box. Which are the related parties here? And I want everybody to put it. Come on, please. Quickly. Yes, Y is by default a related party for G and by default a related party for H. Okay. Very good, Aditya. Very good, Chetan and all. Guys, why I'm very clear. I know you know it. Y is a related party for G, Y is a related party for H. But those have reverted that G and H are related parties are also perfect correct answer. Very good. Okay, so here we can conclude that Y is a related, yes. All are related to each other. They are like a family. Okay, absolutely correct. So Y is a related party for entity G, Y is a related party for entity H, and entity G and H are also related parties to each other. Perfect, very good. Okay, now quickly I change a question. Now here Y is not having control over G. Y is having significant influence over G. And Y is having significant influence over H. Quickly revert. G and H would still be related parties, yes or no? Quick, come on, I want 100% of the class to revert. Let's be absolutely clear about it. Perfect. Very good. Now, next time, mark your answers to me directly, not to everyone. Okay? 100% correct. Very good. So, you got the concept correct. Great. Now, go to the next one. Mark it to me directly. Person X is a KMP for entity K. And person X has got control over entity J. Okay? Quick answering I need. Will entity J and K be related to each other? Yes or no? Direct message to me. J and K would be related to each other? Yes or no? Quick. So far, Prerna, Diksha, Aditya, Nikhil, correct. Mark it to me directly. Come on. Suriti, can I have your answer? Tulsi, I know you've joined today, but I think now you're clear with the concept. Shweta, Pushpa, everybody, I want reverts. Nitin, Mukesh, Ishan, Inderpreet, everybody revert. Okay, so we have mixed answers correctly given by Pushpa, Tulsi, Aditya, Nikhil, Diksha, Prerna. Others, come on, revert. Only when you revert, I can correct you if you're wrong. And if you're right, I can appreciate it. Please don't hesitate to revert. Doesn't matter if you're wrong. I'm not here to judge you right now that you're wrong or right. I'm here to correct you. Absolutely correct. Those who answered yes and those who answered no, let's understand it why they are related. So person X is a KMP of entity K. right? That means X and K are related to each other. What I told you, a shortcut to remember, if two entities are there and a common person is there, if he is controlling even one entity, they become related to each other. Okay, so I repeat it again. Person X is related to entity K. How? He is a KMP of entity K. So they both are related to each other. Person X is controlling entity J. So X and J are related to each other. Now, just because he's controlling entity J and is a related party of entity K, therefore J and K will also become related. Why? There is at least one entity which he's controlling. So it is related party relationship would be created. Am I absolutely now clear? Bunty, Gaurav, Shweta, Nikhil, Nitin, yeah. Inderpreet, you have not reverted. Tulsi, are you clear? Please don't refrain yourself from reverting. Ishan, are you clear, dear? Absolutely correct. Very good. Very good. So just remember now. So in J's financial statements, K is considered related, and K's financial statements, J would be deemed related. Now the next question quickly. Look at the flow here, the diagram here, the flow of information. S and T are husband and wife. T is controlling M, S is controlling L. Tell me, would entities L and M would be related to each other or not? Yes or no? Direct message. Mark it to me directly, Inderpreet and Nitin, from the next time. Okay? Revert everyone. You may be wrong also. So everybody please revert quickly. Yes or no? Yes. So I'll not use the term family, Diksha. I will say they are close relative. Like close family member. Close is important. Point is this. Absolutely correct. You both are wonderful. You all are correct. They both are going to be related. So entity L and entity M are going to be related because there is control which is taking place here. Now, just in addition, if S and T only had significant influence over L and M, they would not be related. Now you're clear about it, right? We've done a case. Okay, now let's have a question. Okay, I want everybody to revert. When preparing the consolidated financial statements of Vertisix company, the financial controller became aware of a major new supply contract that Vertisix company has awarded to Lions company. The wife of the purchasing director of Vertisix company is the finance director and majority shareholder of Lions company. Draw a chart if you want on the pen and paper that about this scenario if you want. I will draw it, don't worry for that. Discuss the ethical issues arising from the contract between Vertices and Lions company and what is the appropriate course of action. First, you declare to me which are the related parties here, or there are no related parties. Declare that in the chat box and then I will discuss the course of action. Come on, everybody revert. Whether they are related parties, if there are related parties, tell me the names. Or simply if I say, would Lions and Vertices be related to each other or not? Give me the reason if you're saying yes or no. Diksha, perfect point. Okay, Inderpreet, why do you think they are not related? Shweta, correct. Banti, correct. Diksha correct, Gaurav correct, Aditya correct, Ishan correct. And the others, are you following? Pulkit, Pushpa, why no reverts? Why no reverts? Tulsi, Suriti, Prerna, Nitin, Nikhil, Mukesh, Chetan, why no reverts, dear? We're not here to just listen to me, right? Unless you participate, you will not have clarity. So I need that participation. Very good, Bunty. Very good. Who is he's not employee. He's a KMP. He's a finance director. Director is what? A KMP. He's a key management personnel for the organization. He's a finance controller. Not just see, isn't she a close relative of the KMP? Absolutely correct, Chetan. Nikhil. Suriti. Yeah, so please take efforts to write down. Absolutely correct. Yes. Now I've received your message. I was not receiving it as earlier. Okay. Now please mark it to me only directly. Pulkit. Absolutely correct. Very good, Tulsi. In the breathe is understand it, no? Absolutely correct. In the breathe, I want you to revert in the chat box. Let's have the clarity. Please revert. Do you think financial controller is a KMP? KMP doesn't mean only chairman or the directors. KMP means all those people who are very crucial to the decision making of their organization. So can you give me a quick revert so that I can correct it? Okay. I will let you know the disclosures. Just let me, Bunty, clarify it with Inderpreet. No issues. He's not an employee of purchasing department, right? He's the financial controller. Financial controller means he is a KMP. And since he is a KMP, his wife becomes relative of the KMP, close family member. And his wife is having majority shares in Lions. Majority means more than 50%. That means she is controlling this Lions company. Company. So if I think it got disconnected, but just tell me, did you hear me everything? Did you hear what I said about this? Okay, then you missed out. Okay, did you hear till that portion where I declared that wife is, sorry, L and M are, sorry, vertices and lions are related party to each other? Did you hear that? Okay, Inderpreet, I repeat again. Okay, so I say that now you are clear, right? Since wife is a close family member of the KMP, she is related to vertices. And since she's having majority shares in another company, she is having a control of lions. So vertices and lions are related party to each other. Anyone who's not clear about this, then please type it in the chat box. Inderpreet, you are clear, right? And I do hope that those who did not revert, you are also clear. Mukesh, you are clear about it. Okay, I'll just share the screen. So now we are clear about it. And now let's go to the next point. Then what are the disclosure requirements? Now, some of you pointed it out perfectly correct that just awarding the contract then to this company shows ethical issues. The reason being, it probably shows that due to the close proximity or close relationship of financial controller and his wife, the contract has been awarded to it, and it's a major supply contract, involves material amounts. Although the contract may have been awarded on merit basis also. So there are disclosure requirements that are needed to be fulfilled. Okay, number one, or we have to take appropriate measures, like here it says, no, determine an appropriate course of action. So we have to determine the appropriate course of action should be, number one, review the contract, that whether it is done at the arm's length price or not. Okay, number two, that all the procedures, all the rules, all the requirements of raising the quotations, asking for tenders, have they been followed properly in the allocation of this supply contract or not? This is number two. Number three, we can have whether both husband and wife have they declared their related party status to the board or not. The husband as well, since he's having interest in the form of his wife in another company, and wife also, have they declared it or not, because the board should be clear that it's a related party transaction. So financial controller should not be a party of awarding contract to the wife's company. That means financial controller should not be a part of the team who is reviewing the contract and awarding it. Financial control should step aside from this, the supply contract awarding team, right? You should not be a part of it. Okay, then number one, then yeah, next is we can talk about independence, that whether the team which is awarding the contract, is it independent of the financial director, is it independent of uh, any biasness, so objectivity principle is not getting breached. We have to see here, that is independence of thoughts. Yeah, exactly. So Diksha, the next point is correctly put up by her. Like we have mentioned, that measure should be taken to ensure that there is no conflict of interest by informing of the same status to the board. Then last, action plan, like we discuss every time. However, if the results to the above or answers to the above is unsatisfactory, and we find any deviation from the rules and the procedures, so then in that case, audit committee or the board should be informed of the same to take the necessary corrective actions. An investigation may be launched for the same, or investigation, you know, yeah, we can have an investigation in place to look into this. That's all. Clarity is there. I think interesting. Now let's go to the next question. It's a very interesting and good question. I'll talk about the disclosure requirements for related parties after we complete this question, so that we are clear with this basics. Then I'll come to disclosures and what can be the different pricing decisions. You're not required to calculate pricing decisions, but I'm just going to make you aware of the same. Okay. Okay, now let's have, it's a very interesting question. Prismify is a joint venture of Lolita and Johnny. You will take your time to answer it. Don't look at solutions. It's my kind request. Mr. Taylor is the managing director of Lolita Group, which includes a subsidiary Vexel and also an associate Brown. Mrs. Shan controls Johnny and is also the finance director of Hill. Identify all the related parties for Prismify. Sorry. Type down all the related parties. You can read it again. If you want, you can draw the charts, do your rough work and then give me the answer. I give you 2 minutes to solve it. And this is compulsory to be solved by everybody in the class. Okay, so that we have absolutely hold on this topic. Start typing your answers. And I request every student will type their answer, everything in one chart, because then multiple charts will become confusing. Okay, please write your complete answer in one chart. You can mark it to me, you can mark it to everyone also, that's okay. So this answer you can mark to everyone also. Everybody else type it. Okay, so let's have clarity. I will discuss once everybody has typed their answers. Okay, I've received answers from Diksha, Bunty, Gaurav, Prerna, Pulkit, Nikhil. That's all. Nikhil, Pulkit, Prerna, Bunty, Gaurav, Suriti, Diksha, Tulsi, Chetan, Aditya. Shweta, Pushpa. Great. Come on, everybody else. Mukesh, I need an answer. Inderpreet, I need answer. Chetan, I need your revert. Ishan, answer. Nitin. Waiting for Mukesh. Nitin. Ishan. Okay, Ishan is reverted. Okay, let's discuss now. I'll take everything step by step. Okay, we'll discuss from the point of view of Principi. We'll discuss from the point of view of Johnny. We'll discuss from the point of view of Lolita also. Okay, and then we can see how was the answering. Just a minute. Okay, first, so let's take it step by step. Since Principi is a joint venture of Lolita and Johnny, so we can say that for this is Lolita and this is Johnny. Okay, since Principi is a joint venture for Lolita and Johnny, we can say that Principi is a related party for both. Okay, so here I'm listing down all the related parties. Okay, this is first step. Now second, Mr. No, this is a subsidiary Vexel. Okay, there is a subsidiary Vexel. So I'll put a third category, Principi also. So for Principi, John and Lolita are related parties. Now, Principi is related related to Lolita, is a joint venture for Lolita Group, and Lolita Group includes subsidiary Vexel. So now Principi and Vexel will be related because all the group members will be related to that joint venture. Correct? So Principi will be related to Vexel also. Okay, so for Principi, the related party would be Vexel as well. Okay, now Brown is an associate of Lolita. So Principi will be related to joint associate also. We have done that. If joint venture of the entity and associate of the entity are there, then joint venture and associate are going to be related party for each other. So Principi will have a related party, the associate also, which is Brown. Clear? See, we are going to do for all the three individually. We'll check for all the three. So for Principi, this Johnny, Lolita are related parties. Vexel is a related party and Brown is a related party. Okay. Next, who was left with? Mr. Taylor. Now, Mr. Taylor is the MD of Lolita Group. So Mr. Taylor is a KMP of Lolita, but Mr. Taylor is not controlling Principi. KMP of Lolita is good, but then he should have been controlling also Principi. Since he's not controlling Principi, I will say that Taylor is not related party. Okay, because there is no controlling which is happening. We looked into that entity relationship and we found that Principi would be only related to Taylor if Taylor has got controlling of Principi, which is not happening. Okay, then we have another person, Mrs. Shan. Mrs. Shan is controls Johnny and is also finance director of Hill. Doesn't matter if she's controlling Johnny, but she's not got any control over Principi, right? So Principi and Johnny are related, but Principi and Mrs. Chan will not be related. Okay. We have for the individuals. Why Taylor is not related? What is the case here? Who's asked me? Yeah, in the Preet. What is the case here? Taylor is KMP of Lolita. In order to be related, I'm telling you that KMP is Taylor is KMP of Lolita. In order to be related with Principi, he has to have some relationship with Principi, because we don't have a clause which says that. See here, I'll explain you here. The individuals mentioned in the earlier category, who are the individuals? That KMP individual also is there. Okay, so KMP individual will have or the individual which has significant influence over the reporting entity or is a member of the KMP of the reporting entity. He is not, Taylor is not KMP of the group member of a Principi. KMP is Taylor is a KMP of the joint venturer of Principi. Are you clear? If Principi was not a joint venture but a subsidiary, then KMP Taylor would have been a related party for that subsidiary also. When we talk about group, we don't include joint venture and associates. Am I clear? So I'll repeat this point again. Individuals mentioned in the earlier category have significant influence over the reporting entity. Does Taylor have any influence over the reporting entity? Principi? No. Does Taylor have any control of the reporting entity? Principi? No. Does Taylor have, is Principi a member of the group? No, because member of the group is only parent and subsidiary. Am I clear now in the Preet? Are you clear, or are you just saying for the sake of it? If you understand, we had this example of KMP. I took this example of KMP where KMP also had significant influence over the other entity. In our example, Taylor is not having any significant influence over the other entity, that is Principal. So when Taylor is not having any significant influence, any control of the other entity, so we cannot relate Principal with Taylor. Because Principal is not a member of the group. Principal is a joint venture. Absolutely crystal clear? Everybody in the class, are you crystal clear for Principal? Any questions, queries for Principal's role, please ask me in the chat box. Okay, now let's talk about Lolita's case. Now, what all related parties would be there for Lolita? Okay, so we have done for Principal. Okay, we have done for Principal. These are the related parties. Now let's take for Lolita. For Lolita, Principal is a related party. Clear. Then let's go to the next company, Vexel. Vexel is definitely a related party because it's a subsidiary of the same group. So Vexel is a related party. Clear? Now, let's go to the next one. Associate is Brown. So Brown will be a related party. Principal is going to be the related party for Lolita. And then we have we have Taylor. Taylor is a KMP for Lolita. So Taylor would also be a related party for Lolita. Clear? Pretty easy. If you have doubts, please ask me. Okay, now let's talk about Johnny. For Johnny, Principal is a related party. So you know what? Now in the exam, sometimes you can write that though Lolita will not become a related party just because by the virtue of related party relationship, but there is no other data given to you. So in the absence of data, we can see that we have to look at the substance of the information also. We call it as substance of the relationship. Since no other information is shared, we are not very clear if they have any control or any KMPs in their common, okay? If they have any control between them. Okay, so we will never write it directly that they both are not related parties. You will say that they may be or may not be related parties, but by virtue of being joint venturers, they will not be related party. If there is any other substance that makes them related, then that can be considered. Got it? So you'll keep it open-ended because not entire data is given to you. Just a plain sentence is given. I hope I'm clear with this. If there's any doubts, any queries, please ask me. Okay, so you will write it down as a note there that though Johnny and Lalita will not become related party just by virtue of joint venturers, but we should always look at the substance of their relationship. Okay, and in the absence of any other information, we may not be able to conclude it fully that they are not related. Simply, you should always write like this in your SBR exams. Okay, so now who are related parties here for Johnny? Now, Mrs. Shan controls Johnny, is also finance director of Hill. So, Mrs. Shan is controlling Johnny. So, Mrs. Shan is related party for Johnny because she's controlling. Now, Mrs. Shan is KMP of Hill. Being a finance director, we assume she's a KMP of Hill. So if she's a KMP of Hill and she's controlling Johnny, so then Hill will also become a related party for Johnny. Clear? We have done almost the same example. Are we clear? Now we can proceed and we can see for other entities also, like for Vexel, we can say that you just see wherever Vexel has come. So Vexel is a related party for Lolita. Vexel is a related party for Principal. Now, in the group of Vexel, we have associate also. Okay, so Vexel is a member of the group. If Lolita is related to associate, So Vexel will also be related to associate. We have read that, right? The entity or the member of the entity. So Brown will also be a related party for Vexel. The same applies to KMP. So if KMP is a related party to the entity, it would be a related party to the member of the entity also. So Taylor would be a related party for Vexel as well. Any questions? Because wherever related party or reporting entity goes, its member also goes together. Like I said, we always go with the family. Okay, family is the member. Member are subsidiary and parents. Any issues till this point, or is it looking now absolutely crystal clear? Please type it in the chat box. Clarity is there, or still you have confusions. I don't need to complete the chapter unless you guys are clear with every topic that we are doing. Absolutely clear? Okay, let's go to the next one. So now we have one more company, right? We have here Vexel, we have discussed. Now we can discuss for Brown also. Same, wherever you find the Brown relationship, you can enter it. So Vexel is a related party, Primsify is a related party, and Lolita would be a related party. Okay, but Taylor will not be a related party because the same rule that we applied for joint venture, same rule will apply for associate. And for Hill, only related party here would be Johnny. Okay, and of course, Taylor also, Mrs. Shan also, because Mrs. Shan is a KMP of Hill. Okay? Okay, now quickly, all those who have doubt, even the slightest of the doubts or queries, put it in the chat box. Because I'll take up 1, 2, 3 more portions and then I'll finish up with this chapter and give you some questions and homework, which I will send you as a part of my notes. So that we'll discuss it in the next class. And I'll send the notes right away after the class. Don't worry for that. But still we have time. Okay, I'll explain that. It's all covered in your accounting rules, but I'll explain that. Okay, Vexel and Lolita are not related, right? Because Taylor is a KMP, correct? Vexel. No, why Vexel and Lolita will not be related? Pulkit, what has happened to you? Who is Vexel? What is the status of Vexel? Vexel is a subsidiary of the group of which Lolita is a member. So don't you think they'll be related? Member of the same group? That's okay. No need to be sorry. I know it looks a bit clumsy, but guys, 3 pointers, please remember, you will not forget anything. For individuals, significant influence, KMP and control. That's all. For entities, remember, members of the same group are like my brother and sister. So wherever I'm going, my brother and sister will follow. Remember it like that. Okay? And joint venture and associates are brother and sister. So wherever you have a term joint venture, associate is going to be treated in the same way. Okay? I remember it like this so that I never have a confusion ever in my life. Okay? And KMPs would only be related to the entities if one side control is there. If one of the entities they're controlling, they're going to be related. If none of the entities they're controlling, they're not going to be related. The two entities are not going to be related. That's the entire summary of this KM, related party status. You will go through it all today. In the next lecture, whatever doubts and queries you have, I'll take care of it. Okay, and of course, some of you pinged me that, ma'am, would the speed be increased in the next lectures? Of course, slowly and gradually I'll increase it. Because let me tell you, we will be completing off with our syllabus by mid of November. Okay, my target is by 15, 16 November, plus minus 1 or 2 days, or 2, 3 days can be there, but not beyond that. So I'll increase the speed gradually, but what these theory topics and these technical topics, I don't want to rush off. Let's have clarity there. Okay. Now, No, we don't have to tell for Lolita. The question is only asking for Principi. We'll just write for Principis. Okay, identify the related parties of Principi. So we just have to give for Principi's financial statements. Here it is given in addition for Lolita, for Johnny, for Vexel, for Brown. I gave you additionally for, Hill also. That's okay. That's an extra additional data given to you so that, you are able to have all the clarity from all the related parties' point of view. Okay, but of course, in the question exam, you'll not have these direct questions. They will always be a part of bigger questions. Okay, now, Aditya has asked me a very simple question that, ma'am, what is the difference between joint venture and a subsidiary? So let me just tell you. In subsidiary, what happens? Parents have control over the subsidiary. Generally, it's one parent that has a majority control over the subsidiary. In joint venture, there are multiple companies and they all have control over the joint venture. Okay, so they all have ownership rights, they all make decisions, and they all have common interest over the joint venture. That is why I call it joint venture. Am I clear? So it's not subsidiary, it is jointly owned entities, you can say. Am I clear? Balance, you can always read in your accounting. So this is the major difference. Okay, now let's look at the disclosure requirements. It's very much similar to what we do in Indian, Indian scenarios, almost a similar kind of disclosure. So we have to disclose of what are the transactions that we have entered into with the related parties, whether they are at arm's length price or not. So all the kind of transactions, whether they are purchase or sale of goods, property or other assets, rendering of services, leasing, any research and development activity, license agreements, any provision of guarantees, collateral. So any kind of transaction that that you have made with related party, that should be disclosed. Of course, they should be material transactions. Okay, and especially these transactions must be disclosed always. Now, disclosure required is the entity must disclose the name of the parent, subsidiary, or the other members of the group. Okay, because of course, then only related party relationships would be better disclosed of. Okay, so related party relationships, their reason of the relationship, how we have determined that company A is related to entity B, that, the reason for that disclosure, the transactions, they should be disclosed of. Any compensations that we are paying to the KMP must be disclosed of, including the breakup of that, like short-term employee benefits, long-term employee benefits, post-employment benefits, and so on. Termination benefits, share-based payments, and all. We have an international accounting standard for share-based payments also that we'll take in detail. Okay. Now, there are some minimum disclosures that must be done for the related party, irrespective of what kind of transactions have been entered, like the amount of the transaction, what is the amount outstanding at the year end, okay, any allowances for doubtful debts, and any irrecoverable or bad debts. These are minimum disclosure requirements. We should give separate disclosures for each category of the related party, being it parent, subsidiary, joint venture, associates, individuals, KMPs, okay, family, common, close family members. For everyone, we should give separate disclosures. Okay, market term disclosures is disclosure of the related party transactions on market terms is allowed only if substantiated. What does it mean? It is basically, it means, that if only if the related party transactions are of material nature, they are substantial nature, only if they are of very high value or maybe a complex nature, if they are of material nature transactions, only then we would give the market value of the transactions also. So we will convert those transactions in terms of market value also, but not for every transaction. Generally, related party transactions would be at market value only. However, if the related party transaction, the value of which we have entered in our books and the market value are different, and those are material transactions, so then we will enter them also and disclose them in our books of accounts also. Okay, that's done with related parties. Not just the last category for this chapter, which is government related entities. Now, can we have related party transactions with government also? So can I classify a government entity also as a related party? Can we do that? Because we haven't heard so far in our Indian context, right? But in this IFRS and IS context, IS 24, can we determine a government entity also as a related party? Yes, we can. However, before I take up any other point, let me tell you, entities would be exempt from disclosing related party transactions and outstanding balances with the government, okay, with a government entity which is having control. So for example, there is any entity we have all the public sector entities where government has control. So it is basically concerning them where they have related party transactions. Okay, so however, if there is any government entity which is controlling, or there's joint control, there's significant influence over the entity, then in that case, we are exempted. The entity would be exempted to disclose the related party transaction amount and outstanding balances in that case. That means there is government Z. Government Z is having control over entity A, and government Z is having control over entity B. Likewise, entity A is having control over entity C and entity D. B is having control over entity E and entity F. So we will say indirectly, government Z also has control over entity C and entity D. Likewise, government Z also has control over E and F indirectly. So they all become part of one family, we can say that, right? Now, since government Z is having control over these two entities, so basically they all are related parties to each other. Now we can take help of this exemption, and that is an exemption relaxation given, which says that the entity A, even though it is related to entity B by virtue of this government related entities, the entity A need not disclose the names of these entities, like entity B. Okay, the government, I'm sorry, entity A will not disclose the related party transactions that it has entered into with entity B or entity E or entity F. Entity A will not disclose it. In fact, they don't need to disclose the outstanding balances also. Why? Because this is a relaxation, this is an exemption given. However, this entity is required to mention these related parties. The entity is required to mention government Z, the government which is having control over both the entities, and their relationship, that by virtue of what they are related to each other. Okay. However, if there is any material or any significant transaction that requires attention of the investors that has entered into between entity A and B or E or F and government Z, so then of course they need to disclose it in the notes, that is in the financial statements. Okay, so therefore the closeness of the related party would determine the amount of transaction, whether it should be disclosed or not. Am I clear? So likewise, if entity C is is related to government Z, so if they're entering into transactions with other entity B, E, F, or Z for that matter, they are exempted. They're exempted to disclose the transactions that have taken place between entity C, D, A, Z, B, E, F. Okay, they're exempted from the same. Okay, but if entity C is having a related party transaction with these entities, not by virtue of this being a part of this group, but performing the services individually, like KMP services, so then they need to disclose it. If they're having transactions which are just because of this group relationship, then they don't need to disclose it. They are exempted. So see, government, they're so smart. They don't want to declare their transactions at all. So they've given exemptions only to government-related entities, not to any other entity related party relationship. Am I clear? Any doubts? Okay, so last point, IAS 24 and the conceptual network says that the boards should be satisfied with the effectiveness of the standard and proper disclosure requirements should be met. There has to be faithful representation and detailed disclosure should be done so that the investors are able to understand the relationship, the nature of transaction, and the quantum involved. Okay, quickly put up in the chat box any doubts. Any questions in this chapter 1? Absolutely clear? Can we look at one good question so that we know how to handle the questions in the exam? Diksha, don't tell me related party is confusing now. I'll throw a quick question to you and you answer it, Diksha. Then I'll have an idea whether it's confusing for you or not. Okay? Let me ask you a question. Entity A is a joint venture of entity B and entity C. And there is entity D, which is a subsidiary of entity B. I repeat, entity A is a joint venture of entity B and C, and entity D is a subsidiary of entity B. So my question is, would entity A, which is the joint venture, and entity D, which is the subsidiary of entity B, would they be related to each other? Diksha, you are telling me you're confused, but you gave me the correct answer. You just need to revise, that's all. I mean, you're not confused, I'm telling you. Okay, let's look at a question relating to this ethics that can be asked in exam. Let's just look at one question. Pension fund entity, you know what? See, when you read taxes, you become more clear about it. We can have government entities, we have private entities. In India also we have it. You have heard about the Reliance, all these, investment companies, the finance companies. In India, we don't have those pension funds really dedicated as a part of the employment status because we have more of a provident funds, right? And which is nationalized in India. We have employee provident fund, and that provident fund company is a nationalized company in India. But in UK, we have private companies, government companies, all putting up their pension funds so that people contribute to them. So we have dedicated companies looking into pension fund, insurance, and these related, kind of transactions. Okay, so I'm taking a question just 447 to 451. Let's have a question here and let's discuss it. Okay, so it's a 15 marks question that is given, but I think it is going to give you a lot of clarity. So first, let's understand also how we are going to read this question, because reading is also very essential when you read these kind of questions. I'm taking up this question so that we know how to deal like this and we can discuss about it before we start with the next chapter. Only one question I'm discussing. And one more I'll give you in homework. Yeah, one more question I'll give you in homework. In fact, yes. One question, let's discuss. When I'm reading this question in the exam, I would prefer to use highlighter so that, you can see there are a lot of pointers that must be coming here. Remembering everything would be challenge. Reading it again and again would be time wasting. So why don't we use highlighter to highlight these portions and relevant portions for the exam purposes? Let's do it here. Prime Company is an independent health food business that has been run as a family company for 40 years by Ken and Steffi Potter. So it is an independent health food business which is run by Ken and Steffi Potter. They both are probably partners. Yes. It is a family company. Okay. Both are husband and wife. It looks like. Okay, I don't have a highlighting tool here. I will use my pen then. Okay, next class onwards, I'll use my pen. Okay, anyways, since the company started, it has been audited by Watson. So Watson is the auditor. Okay. Now, by Watson, Sheaves and Company, a local audit firm. Mr. Sheaves, one of the firm's founding partners, has overseen the audit throughout the company's history. Rotating the engagement partner is there. No. So he has been a key person because he has, I won't say the name of the thread because we'll be discussing it. But anyways, don't you think it's a familiarity threat that we had discussed earlier? He has overseen the audit throughout the company's history. Has always taken the opportunity to meet with Ken and Steffi informally at the end of each audit to sign off the financial statements, to offer a briefing and some free financial advice in his role as what he calls auditor and friend. Very big threat. But anyways, we'll discuss it now. In these briefings, Mr. Shreves, who has become a close family friend of Potter's over the years, always point out that the business is profitable, which the Potters already knew without knowing the actual figures and how they might increase their margins. But the Potters have never been too concerned about financial performance as long as they can provide a good service to their customers, make enough to keep the business going, and provide continued employment for themselves and their son Ivan. Ken and Steffi will retain a majority shareholding in Prime Company, but have gradually increased Ivan's proportion over the years. They currently own 60% to Ivan's 40%. Ivan was appointed a director alongside Ken and Steffi in 2006. Ivan grew up in the business and has helped his parents out since he was a young boy. By the end of 2005, Ken made sure that Ivan drew more salary than Ken and Steffi combined as they sought to ensure that Ivan was happy to continue in the business even after they retired. During the audit for the year ended 31st March 2009, a member of Watson Sheaves noticed a dramatic drop in the profitability of the business as a whole. He noticed that while food sales continued to be profitable, a large amount of inventory had been sold for below cost to Baron Company with no further explanation, and it was this sale that has caused a reduction in company's operating margin. Each transaction with Baron Company and invoices showed being authorized by Ivan. Before his end of audit meeting with Ken and Staffy, Mr. Shreves carried out some checks on Baron Company and found that it was a separate business that was owned by Ivan and his wife. Mr. Shear's conclusion was that Ivan was effectively stealing from Prime Company to provide inventory for Baron Company at a highly discounted cost price. Although Mr. Shears now had to recommend certain disclosures to the financial statements in this meeting, his main fear was that Ken and Steffi would be devastated if they found out that Ivan was stealing, and it would have long-term implications for their family relationships and the future of Prime Company. Okay? Got the case? Now let's understand. Explain why Mr. Shreves is considered a professional by society and discuss the fundamental principles of professional conduct identified in the ACCA Code of Ethics. 7 marks it is. Don't give me answers directly. I want you to, I'll open the question again, and I want you to devote just maybe another 1 minute, 2 minutes on this question. Okay, just think what all pointers you are going to discuss, and then we'll start discussing the answer. Okay, I think we can discuss. We're not talking about threads. In the pre, did the question ask you for threads? Let's stick to the requirement of the question. I want you all to type your answers, whatever you think of in your answering. You can write it in short points. I don't want you to write big paragraphs because I know it's not possible. Please answer for this question. Explain why Mr. Shreves is considered a professional by society and discuss the fundamental principles of professional conduct which are identified in the ACCA Code of Ethics and Conduct. Give me the answer. What would you write for it? Come on, everyone, just give your viewpoints. Whatever you can, so that, we'll summarize everybody's view and we'll create an answer that would help you to write down your next question. For this full answer, 7 marks, what pointers you are going to mention? I'm receiving pointers from Gaurav, Diksha, Chetan, Pulkit, Inderpreet. Everybody, come on, give me your pointers. What do you think? Mukesh, I really wanted some pointers from you. Bunty, some pointers. Chetan, Ishan, Nikhil, Nitin, Prerna, Pushpa, Suriti, Tulsi. Give me your pointers. Okay. Shweta, everybody. Wait, I'm waiting for 1 minute. Just write down your pointers and then we'll discuss. You can think of this answer by putting yourself in the position of Mr. Sheaves and think that why Mr. Sheaves is considered a professional by the society. Why would you be considered as a professional by the society? Okay, let's discuss. So I've received answers where Inderpreet has given me answer. I won't talk about threat because in the pre, this question doesn't talk about threat. Maybe in the next question, we may be having threat point, but in this first question, threat is not asked. I will not mention it. Okay. Mr. Sheaves is an auditor and friend, therefore professional skepticism is not followed, or professional behavior, you mean to say, right? Okay. He's a partner of an auditor. He should have 5 principles. Very good, Pulkit. We have to mention all the 5 principles. He considered through the knowledge that he has gained and applying that knowledge, integrity is not followed, objectivity is breached, professional behavior is not shown by Sheaves. Very good, very good summarized answer, Gaurav. Complying with all the relevant rules and regulations. Very good, Chetan. That's a need by the society. Mr. Sheaves is an auditor who is incorporated an audit firm. So confidentiality, professional competence, due care, professional behavior, objectivity, integrity, all 5 principles should be followed. He has overseen the audit of financial statement throughout the company's history. How is it relevant here to write, Aditya? It's not relevant. To see a requirement of the question. He's senior position in the firm in the way of conducting business. Very good, Nikhil. Thank you. He is a professionally qualified, not ACCA, I won't write, but he's a professionally qualified ACCA and possess required knowledge. Very good. This is why he's considered a professional. She is becoming an expert in the field of audit. Very good, Aditya. This point is good. Over the past 40 years history, she's would have become an expert in the field of audit and is experienced. In the preface, as an auditor, Mr. Sheaves needs to follow principles and code of conduct or code of ethics, we call it, as laid down by ACCA. Wonderful. But first question's answer that all of you have missed out, except for I think Nikhil. Explain why Mr. Sheaves is considered a professional by society. Why Mr. Sheaves? Would a graduate be considered a professional? No. So, for a society, a person or an individual who holds a professional degree, be it an ACCA, be it an engineer, be it a lawyer, be it a doctor, be it an architect, etc., they are considered professionals for the society. And society expects the professionals to behave in the most professional way and in the interest of the client that they are serving, as well as the public interest at large. Right? So now for Sheaves, he is a professionally qualified ACCA. That means he would be considered a professional from the point of view of society. Okay, now it would mean that he carries responsibility on his shoulders, that he would work in the best interest of the society and for the clients that he is serving. This would be around 2 marks question. So we have answered for 2 marks. We've given the details. That's all. Now for the remaining 5 marks, because there are 5 principles, 1 marks for each principle. You would not just focus on 2 principles. Question doesn't ask you, right, which principle is breached and all. Question asks which are the fundamental principles of professional conduct. So there are 5 fundamental principles of professional conduct which are identified by ACCA Code of Ethics and Conduct. Number 1, principle of integrity. This would mean that the professional should work, or the professional should behave in the most honest way in his professional relationships, and also he should be straightforward. However, now you will comment with relation to Mr. Sheaves. However, with Mr. Sheaves, as we can see in the question, he is not disclosing. He's not ready to disclose the information of Ivan to Ken and Steffi, okay, which is breaching the principle of integrity. Okay, just because of his friendly relationship with Ken and Steffi. Okay, so integrity. Objectivity means the professional is acting without any biasness, without any undue influence by any client or any other third party. Now we can see in Mr. Sheaves' case, he's under the influence of Ken and Steffi being friends for over the years, due to which his decisions are getting affected by this. Okay, so he is not disclosing he's not disclosing, or basically he is afraid to disclose the details of the irregularities to Ken and Steffi, which is affecting his duties as an auditor. Third principle, which is professional competence in due care. So professional competence in due care essentially means that the professional regularly keeps him updated with the rules, with the regulations, with any changes in the standard, so that he's performing his duties in the most perfect way and in the most professional way, with up to date knowledge of the with up to date knowledge which is required for by him to perform his duties. So, the question doesn't mention anything, and since he having the 40 years experience and he has observed these changes, so this probably shown that he is. This probably shows that he is doing in his best, he is acting in his best professional capacity. However, um, so yes, so I don't think that professional competence and due care would be breached here because he's working in his best capacity. Okay. Now, next coming to confidentiality. Confidentiality would mean that the data which is obtained by the professional during the course of his business and the client relationships and engagements should not be disclosed to anybody else and the third parties. So likewise, Mr. Shreves should not disclose any information even relating to parent company to anybody else apart from the persons affected by it, which is as a result of his business relationships. Okay, the client's data should not be shared with anybody else, which is not mentioned here also. So we don't say that it is breached, but we have to mention it. Next, professional behavior. The professional is expected to behave in the most, you know, professional way that is complying with all the rules, regulations, and the requirements of the standard. But in this case, we can see that Mr. Shreves, the independence is being affected by his relationship with the company, with the clients as a close family member. So due to which his professional behavior is being compromised here. Okay, so you will, and you don't have to conclude, you just have to explain and discuss. So we have discussed about it, that's all. This will give you 5 marks, 1 marks for each principle, which you all gave me correct. Very good. Not just the next portion. Discuss the professional and ethical dilemmas which facing Mr. Shreves in deciding whether or not to tell Ken and Steffi about Ivan's activity. Advise Mr. Shreves of the most appropriate course of action. Just think. Yes, now here even you can talk about threats. That's okay. But just think, how would you frame your answer? Think for a minute and start typing in the chat box. Everybody, please start typing. This is the last question that we are doing. I'm giving you a minute more. Is anybody else going to revert? Come on, everyone, please type. I know I'm asking for too much of typing, but I need you to, you all to, improve in your writing skills and have more thoughts. So we have answers from Pushpa, Suriti, Gaurav, Pulkit, and Diksha. Anybody else giving in? So now let me just read your answers. So Diksha has given Mr. Shees is one of the founding members of the audit firm. There is a familiarity thread as Mr. Shees has been auditing prime company for a long time, has become a friend to the Potters and there should be rotation. There is already a rotation. The question mentions it. Very well written, Diksha. With just few changes needed, very well written. Yes, correct, Pulkit. Very good, Gaurav. Correct point. Very well, good point, Suriti. But he's not acting as an investigating officer. So confrontation is not needed. What is needed is that he should discuss it with Ivan, get his points, get his reason, get his answering, and then let it know to Ken and Steffi. Confrontation in front of his parents not needed. There are only two founding members, Ken and Steffi. Okay. The question here, Pushpa, is not that he has to disclose it to other members of his firm. The question is to disclose it to the client who are his close friends. Okay, so take it that way. Perfect, Pulkit. Very good, Inderpreet. Very good, Chetan. Perfect, Bunty. Absolutely correct, Aditya. Okay. So I can see all your answers and they're almost correct, but then just need some additional points. So let's just discuss it here. Discuss the professional and the ethical dilemma that Mr. Sheaves is facing. So we will give advice later on, but see what is the dilemma. The dilemma is that Mr. Sheaves, being the auditor of this company, will not talk about related party transaction. We don't need that. Here, the question is not about related party. The question is whether he should inform his parents or not. Okay, so now we can talk about that Mr. Shreves is an auditor of the firm which is auditing the company where Ken and Steffi are the majority shareholders and Ivan is also another shareholder. And it's an owner managed entity. Correct? It's an owner managed entity. Now, the ethical dilemma that Sheaves is facing is that whether he should act in the whether he should carry on his duties as an auditor and disclose the information to Ken and Steffi, being the majority shareholders of the company, or he should refrain from disclosing this information with the reason of their close family relationships with the Ken and Steffi. As an audit, so we can say that as a professional, Shrees is required to act in the best professional way for the best interest of the society that he's serving. The reason being, he is expected as a professional to carry on his duties by following the fundamental principles of the code of ethics. However, as we can see here, there is a familiarity threat that is affecting the framework of the financial statements on for which he is the auditor. It clearly shows that Ivan has done stealing by transferring the inventory at a lower cost to the company where he and his wife are partners. This is the major concern, and it's a material transaction. So instead of confrontation to Ivan in front of his parents, he can first, the duty of the auditor is to approach Ivan, communicate with him, and ask for the reasons for these transactions. Okay, and then take down his representation. That representation must be discussed and shared with Ken and Steffi instead of confronting him in front of them. But as an auditor, it is his duty to inform Ken and Steffi, being the shareholders of the company, for what is going on in the company. If he hides it, it is not he's not working in the best professional manner. Also, we can see here the question mentions that he has realized, somewhere it was written, that he has realized that this is a very crucial transaction that needs to be informed to the shareholders, being the major shareholders of the company, and he being the representing the audit firm of the company. He should come out of the dilemma and he should choose to perform his duty as an auditor over and above the family and the friendship relationship that he is maintaining with the clients, because these two are going to be taken care of separately. Okay, this all dilemma thing I'm explaining here. So he should behave, or he should perform his duties in the best way by considering the principles of integrity and objectivity as well as professional behavior are maintained. Yeah, so you should, yes. So I'll come to this point, very well written point, Bunty. It is expected to exercise his professional competence. So thereby, even the accounting standard should be followed. And since it's a deviation from the financial reporting standards, that should be definitely informed to the shareholders. Advice, we have already suggested. So I've already written it as an advice that what he should be doing. Okay. Are you clear with this? So 8 marks, if I just break it up, I would say to write about professional ethical dilemma is roughly about 5 marks, and advice is about 3 marks. You don't count lines, okay? Nobody should count lines. That 5 marks means 5 lines, 6 lines, 7 lines. No, you have to just write this content. And just an advice now, henceforth, when you're writing your SBR answers, you would give headings, subheadings, and write the answer in paragraphs. Like introduction paragraph, content paragraph, detail paragraph, and then action points. I will write this in the pointers, in the notes that I'll share. Today's Excel file I'll share right away. But apart from these other notes, I'll try to share as soon as possible. Okay, but okay, so I would stop for today. I would give you some 4-5 questions as homework, which I expect you all to do. If one of your answers, at least one answer, I want you all to send it to me on my WhatsApp personally, so that I can evaluate it and we can discuss it in the class. See, my purpose of evaluation would be that how you are writing. See, the questions we must have discussed since yesterday and today, we have discussed roughly around 6-7 questions. And now you should be knowing the pattern of writing. So now I want to evaluate your answer to see how well you're writing independently. So wherever there's a shortfall, I want to improve in that, make improvements in your answer from day one only, so that the more answers that you are writing or discussing, you are evolving as, a better professional writer. I would say that for your exams at least. Okay, before we leave for the day, just let me know for these 2 days, were you able to understand everything? And are you comfortable with my way of teaching? There's any concerns, please put that right now in the chat box. You can mark it directly to me. Don't hesitate. I'll make sure that I'll make those improvements in the coming classes. One pointer is definitely there for the notes, so that I will make sure that, for the coming weekend only, onwards, after every class, notes are shared to you that time only. Apart from this, any other concerns, any other points that you have, or, how are the classes for these 2 days? Just please let me know in the chat box. You can mark it to me directly, not a problem. I just want to have an outlook from all of you. Please write. Negative, positive, it's okay. I would take them in the best interest and would make those changes in the coming classes. I would. For that, there is time in the brief. There is time. Okay, first let's cover some contents. So then there is time to, simulate, make yourself accustomed to CBE. I think for that, just connect with Sandeep. I would do that, Pulkit. But generally, you know why I don't use too much of digital pen for writing and for making charts, because sometimes, personally, I use more of Excel than pens. I can use pens, as I was saying that in the next class, as it is, I'm planning to use pen only. But I use more of Excel because I think legitimacy improves there. And, with Excel, I can give you more data. So that is the reason why I use more Excel and less of pen. In fact, very less of pen. But I'll include it in my, in my classes next weekend onwards, coming weekend onwards. I'll definitely include it. Okay, sure. Thank you all. And apart from this also, if you have any concerns anywhere, you can always reach out to me on my personal WhatsApp. You can ask me there anything, and I will make sure that I'm clarifying it to you and answering it back to you. Okay? Just one request from my side, whatever homework questions I give you, don't keep them like this in laptop and then tell me on Saturday, ma'am, I did not have time to do that. You have 5 days. Please just give even 1 hour a day and you would be able to complete them. Okay, it is going to help you in your writing skills. Those who have appeared for other P papers, I think they can completely relate to it. If you write it better way, you have very high chances of scoring. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. Take care. And I'm sending that Excel sheet right away. Bye. I'm going to send the picture of homework questions and I will embed it in the notes only. Okay? Okay. Bye-bye. Take care. Bye.